family and I have been associated with Montverde Academy for many years. My grandfather supervised the farm when it was an industrial school. My grandmother, parents, and I have all taught at the academy, and my father was on the board of directors. My husband and I have watched the school grow over the years and have made a point to be good neighbors. We've let the academy know when one of their sprinklers was broken or called to report a person climbing over their fence to reach the track. We have lived with loud music, academy parents parking in no parking zones, students racing down Highland Avenue, and the seemingly endless dust and noise of construction on the campus, and have not complained. But when our home was threatened, we felt it was time to say something. It would have been nice if someone had listened. And so, I'm gonna do the best I can. Of course, phones are never quite the same as the real deal. This is our house. I'm sorry that you can't hear it.
I can hear it.
I've got it all the way up.
The bottom of the phone has the speaker.
Okay, can you hear it better?
Put it right on top of it.
But again, the phone is not going to tell you the vibration that was coming through the floor, through our furniture, throughout all our rooms. Our windows were rattling. I have sun catchers on the windows, and they were dancing all over the windows. I'm not the only one that suffered this problem. It's just that I'm going to be the one to bring everyone up to snuff. And I mean, I know people are going to say, well, let's just get critical. But in the latest newsletter, there was a paragraph about fireworks. And that paragraph read, if you're planning to use fireworks, we need you to reach out to the town hall or me directly, meaning the mayor, to follow the proper procedures. That way, we can keep the community informed, especially pet owners and parents, to help everyone stay prepared. Thanks so much for helping with this. If we can put that emphasis on fireworks, why not something that could actually damage homes along a city street? Thank you.
Yeah, so you guys, when she called me, I had told her to come talk to the council, and if the council be interested in, if it's even possible, I don't know, putting something in place where such machines can't be used, because there are other ways to do it, by wetting the dirt and using a different tool. So they did look into it, and there was 2 other people that did call me besides Mrs. McQuaid, and so I asked her to come talk to the council about it, and the council thinks we need to move this forward. Then we could ask Anita to look into something that we could put in place that when permits are pulled, they all, for jobs like that, they could also be told that they can't use a compactor so many feet from a house or something. What do you think? I really don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
That'd be something I'd have to look into.
Yeah, I would think so. So if you guys are okay with that, I was going to ask Anita or to look into it and bring it back when she has it, so we can look at it and address Mrs. McQuaid and 2 or 3 other people, actually 2 other people, that have issues with it, so we could see if there's anything we could do. Is everybody okay with that?
I actually like to go back, I don't know if everybody can hear me. I'd like to go back to that last meeting where I asked for quality of service for our residents, because I think that that's something that just adamantly proved my point. There's no quality of service. I mean,
Well, Ms. McQuaid was trying to get answers right then and there about she could get it turned off right away. And when I looked into it, we don't have anything in place to get it turned off that quick, except the call to the school asking them to do it, but they don't have to do it.
no,
So-
but I think if Paul.
You want to answer that?
Somebody.
Yeah,
would call.
and I'm just going to outright disagree with you, Mr. Martinelli. I returned her phone call. The day she called, I was on vacation here working because I was helping the guys out.
Right.
I don't think it's unreasonable that I return a call the next day in the afternoon. I mean, I have a ton of calls besides hers.
No, right,
So
quality of service then goes if you're out, which, again, I've said to you, you should take your vacation. And, that's not the discussion. I think that when you're out, there needs to be another fallback to that. That's sort of where I'm going with the quality of service. It's nothing with you taking vacation at all. That's truly.
But I
it's
don't
not.
know what the expectation would be. I mean, you
That's
could
what I
only
think.
return so many I mean, other staff could return the call, they wouldn't have an answer for. And ideally, they have the legal right to vibrate, and there are other ways to do it. Does add cost sometimes, to the projects. I don't know if you legally can stop them. We got a ton of projects coming into town that's probably gonna involve vibratory rollers. They're gonna be doing Porter here probably tomorrow. We're doing Lakeside's coming up. So, I mean, that's gonna be an issue going on, but in my mind, I think when you get a call back within 24 hours, sometimes I try to get them as quick as I can. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, where there's a lot of stuff on the plate, so.
Yeah, and this was all 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so it wasn't, you returned it the next day, right?
I did,
Okay.
which
Does anybody else on the council have a problem with his performance on that?
Well, hold on, I didn't say anything about his performance. I just want to be clear, that's not the discussion topic. It was more about quality of service for our residents and an expectation for them. That's all. It has nothing to do with Paul.
yeah, I mean, just following up, I mean, she called, I think, 2 times a day and did talk to staff. But, I don't know when someone has a permit pulled to do it, I'm not sure what they can really tell them outside they have a permit to do what they're doing. But,
I
I
think
kind of get it. I mean, that's all I would have been able to tell her.
Anita looking into it, and
Yeah.
Anita's saying, yes, we can do something, or no, we can't do nothing. But she's gonna need time to research that.
So I just
Is
wanna-
everybody okay with that conversation?
And you can pull that up too a little bit if you
Yeah,
want.
you can raise it up. There you go.
My name is Christian. I'm with 17701 8th Street. I just want to support Mr. Morganelli here. There have been some incidents where, just unrelated to this, where I've reached out to the ladies up front here, and I've had questions and never received a call back, or just random issues like.
Do you know who you talked to?
I don't remember their names. This was some time ago, but just in support of Mr. Morganelli, I have experienced some, poor quality service issues. So
Alrighty, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to call anybody out on staff or anything. I know everybody's busy. I'm just trying to, give an expectation to them. That if they call for a problem, that we have some time frame to give them. That's all.
Well, if the council think about it, and if you want to come up with some kind of requirements for the town hall, then we're going to have to figure out how we do it and how we staff it and everything else. But you guys all right with thinking about it and coming back and talking about it later, or you want to do time now? I kind of need time to think about it myself.
Well, I do think that at a bare minimum, we probably should at least provide a return phone call that says, okay, we've got your message, we've passed it up the line. We can't guarantee when you're going to get a call back, but just know that you are on our radar, in short, that we understand your issue and we'll get back to you as quickly as
I
possible.
would think staff would have said that we got your message and, we are going to pass it on to them. I mean, they can't tell them when we're going to return it, but, I don't want to argue the point,
And
but I
that's-
understand.
yeah.
I mean, there's only so much they could factually tell them because I have
You
to
know, I
work through
don't
them
know
as I
the-
receive them.
The timeline of events, I know that when Sally placed her calls and right,
Sure.
just a simple recognition anywhere in the process that basically says, okay, yes, we understand, we're working on it, and we'll get back with you as quickly as possible.
Yeah. I just don't want you to make the assumption that wasn't done. I don't know that for,
No,
or not
I
or true.
make
so-
no assumptions.
Yep.
None.
And as you guys know, we are hiring more staff, so we got another public works that we're going to be interviewing for next week, because we know we got a clog where we got more incoming than we can handle, and, it's a small town. We love our
Okay.
2.83 tax rate. I'm not going to make excuses, but, part of that process is we're working, so we just hired a new admin last month who's doing nothing but utility clerk, because that was one of the problems we had. People call, it would take sometimes a couple days to find the answer for them. And then we're also going to hire another admin coming in here that's starting next week. So we're working on getting some more people in place to really kind of break up some duties where they can have that. It's just, we've grown a lot in a year with a lot of different responsibilities. So, and, part of that's the money that we've gotten in, and it just changes the scope. So there is some solutions, because we know sometimes it does take 3 or 4 days to actually get, we can call them back, but it does take sometimes 3 or 4 days, maybe even longer to get an answer, because we have to research or to send someone out to do it. We lose one public work employee, we're 33% without our staff. I've had one public work out all week. I've had before where I had one on vacation. to call in sick, and I was the Public Works. So, you know, we get those scenarios just because we're a small town. So we, you know, we just got to understand, we got to appreciate patience, and sometimes it does take a little bit longer to do things when you have a smaller staff. And but we do work hard. I think we got an amazing staff that works hard to try to get
100%
things done for our community.
We do have an excellent staff. I don't question that whatsoever.
My accolades to the staff, okay? No problem with the staff. I think this comes to council. This is our problem. We tell him what to do and goes from there. Sally, I apologize. You knew I was in a medical situation, what was going on with my brother in that situation. This is, to all of you, I think this has brought a subject that needs to be addressed and not saying we'll look into it. And I think it goes on all 5 of us up here. We're responsible to you. You're the voters. And I don't think that we need to say, well, we'll kick the can down the road. The can hit the wall. It's bounced back. And we need to work on it. And you need to hold us. You need to hold us accountable for it. Can you all hear me? And I don't have a problem with that because you voted for me and all of us to do our jobs. Apparently, this is something that's fallen through the cracks. It's evident of it, and I think it's something we need to address. And from my point of view, I can't promise lightning bolt will solve it, but I'll give you my word that we'll more than look into this and try and come up with a solution, because as you guys have reported to us, this is a problem. This is a chink in our armor. We need to fix it, and we owe that to you. And I leave it at that. I don't speak for the rest of the council, but I speak for myself, and I take responsibility as 1/5 of this organization. Thank you.
All righty. Anybody else want to talk about it?
Well, I understand where Paul's coming from, and he does an outstanding job. But I also understand that when you take a day off, somebody should be delegated in charge. I never took off without there was somebody in charge. There was always somebody in charge. So, and that would generally fall into about 3 different categories: immediate response, the second category, like needs to be investigated, looked in, and third category when you get back. You know, but there was always somebody that wrote down and said what was going on. And so it was, yeah, and I know we're a small town, small staff and stuff like that. But maybe we need to institutionalize it a little bit more when it comes to how we respond. Noted, this was responded to, like that. So, Paul does an outstanding job, but there's those times which you need to delegate.
Well, I do think he makes a valid point in the fact that we do a whole lot with the limited staff that we have. Right? And maybe, if you know, Mr. Hartle, to your point, maybe, yeah, this is something that we should pick up some of the slack on.
And in defense of all, I mean, it's being aired. I don't know if this is our dirty laundry, but we need to talk about it. Always has been in the past, when we had a strong mayor, Joe was the guy you called. Joe called Joe. Everybody knew, call Joe. Call Joe, he'll fix it. Call Joe, he'll fix it.
It's still kind of that way.
It still ends up that way. That was evident. But Joe doesn't need to have the responsibility too. When Joe's out of town, that's another thing, goes back to like what Jim said. You know, there's no backup. And Paul has a right to his vacation. We all do. I mean, I don't like it when my employer calls me and says, you know, how do you fix this? We'll turn the next page and read the second paragraph. It tells you how to do it. And they're like, well, I didn't do that. Okay. You want to grit your teeth. But we need to come up with a solution. I'm sure, Sean, you have this problem at county level too. But we need to do something. And I mean, it's not all Paul's fault. It's not Joe's fault. We need to address it. And I think comments are accordingly. So I'll leave it at that for my section. So back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All righty. All right, well, thank you for bringing that up, Ms. McQuaid, and we'll see what we can do and move it forward right now. All righty. Anybody else like to talk to council?
Former bank Banks, Helfrich, Clay Road District, South Lake County. Farm tip of the day. 14th of this month is Valentine's Day. It's also the day that you can plant your spring garden, or at least get it in the ground. Mayor, council, distinguished guests, over 100,000 years ago, our foremothers and forefathers did something they had never done before. They trusted. That's right. There was some civil act, some kind deed, some decent proposal where two families came together and they began to trust each other. They formed the first tribe. This tribe was able to take down the woolly mammoth. This tribe was also, they learned to live with each other, learned to love each other, and learned to grow. This tribe has led to cities and counties and towns and civilizations. Civilizations have led to government, music, and communities. Why is it then that now we seem to not trust our government sometimes? We seem to not trust our neighbors, our friends, our families. We have forgotten that decency, kindness, and civility are the foundation for trust. So when someone on your left or someone on your right, which you may not agree with ideologically, argues with you, remember that we are all Americans. My name is Farmer Banks Helfrich. Thank you for allowing me to speak. May you all be blessed.
Banks.
Thank you very much.
Banks. Here you go. Oh, also, on Valentine's Day, if you really want to have fun, you go to Publix and you sit in there and you watch all these single guys whose girlfriends have dropped something off that morning, a card, and they're going, and you watch them run in, and then they go over to the flower department, and then they go to the card department, and next thing you know, there's 12 guys standing in line with flowers, a card, and a six-pack in the express lane, and you're wondering what's going on. It's like her birthday is once a year, her anniversary is once a year, and Valentine's Day is once a year. So it's kind of hilarious. It's, you know, cheap entertainment.
It's not just single guys.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey.
It's very happily married guys too.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Would you mind, Anita, if we do the proclamation? And let me hand this out. I want to pass this around. Can you guys pass that down, sir? This is our emblem that we put together for a 100-year proclamation, 100-year anniversary. It's May 18th. Will be 100 years we're incorporated. So Anita's going to be reading our proclamation.
Whereas in 1865, a town was founded called West Apopka by its original homesteaders, John W. Hardin, W.H. Porter, John Griggs, Lieutenant Jim Franklin, and Andrew Shaw. And whereas the town was incorporated by charter on May 18, 1925 as the town of Montverde. And whereas for the past 100 years the town has maintained its small town rural character and quality of life for its citizens. And whereas the history, culture, and people of the town of Montverde strengthen the cohesiveness of our community. And whereas this centennial celebration provides an opportunity to reflect on the accomplishments of the past, honor the people who helped shape the town, and look toward the future with excitement and hope. Now, therefore, Joe Wynkoop, Mayor of the town of Montverde, Florida, does hereby proclaim May 18, 2025 as the town of Montverde 100th anniversary of incorporation, a day to celebrate the community, history, and future of our town. Let us honor the pioneers who laid the foundation of this town, recognize the contributions of past and present residents, and inspire future generations to continue the legacy of success and unity. Furthermore, he encourages all residents of the town of Montverde to join in the centennial festivities, reflecting on the shared history, engaging in community activities, and embracing the promise of the next 100 years.
Thank you very much. Okay, that sticker I'm showing around so you guys could look at it. Oh, okay. Just kind of spread it out and then bring it back here. We're going to be, Paul's working very hard on this and a couple other people, and we're going to be putting together a bunch of events, finalizing a couple of events, and banners and all that are being made right now. So we're going to be advertising it before the May 18th, and it's going to be a pretty good celebration. I'm pretty excited about it. But you live in a town that's 100 years old now. Alrighty. Thank you, Anita. Move on to our town manager report.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm actually going to pass on the town manager's report tonight. I'm planning on getting with each of you here in the next week or so to go over a few more things in detail. Just want to let you know we're just finishing up some smaller projects and trying to get we have a bunch of little ends we've been trying to get put together. Library's coming along. I think I've showed all of you the library recently, and so I'll get with you all and give some more detailed information on some stuff in the near future. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
All right, well, thank you very much. Anita, do you have anything?
No report, thank you.
Alrighty, thank you. Sean, do you have anything?
No, sir, no report tonight from planners.
Alrighty, and Commissioner?
Just happy to have been a part of the fire station ribbon cutting earlier, so thank you very much. That was an honor. Appreciate the partnership with the town.
I don't know if everybody knows it, but at 4:30 today, we did our groundbreaking for our new regional fire department up at the Stetcher property, and it's the county that's going to manage it and build it. They bought 3 acres from us, and that money built their sports courts. But we had our thing today, and it's going to be, like I said, a regional fire department. It's going to be the biggest one around the area, and it will have EMS and fire there. And it will service this side of this little area of Lake County, including Ferndale, all the way over to Clearmont and Mineola. So it's going to be quite the project, and I can't tell you how happy I am as the mayor, working with the county that bends over backwards to help us, and it's so much appreciated. And I constantly tell the Board of County Commissioners and the county manager, with her assistance, that we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Alrighty, how about our town council? Jim, you got anything?
I want to mention a couple things. I too attended, like everybody else, the groundbreaking today, and we had a lot of nice accolades made to the town of Montverde. Town manager particularly. And again, it goes back to that relationships with the county and working together, and and keep the Eagles out. And just, but anyhow, so it went very well, and I was really quite pleased with it. And I told the director of the fire people that it'd be okay if they stayed right here too, but then again, I'm a little biased because I'm right down the street, So, on a more of a personal note, while I don't come anywhere near the age of some of you people, I did hit 75 this past weekend, and I've always had a strong feeling. I'm in the middle of my 5th term, and I've always had a strong feeling that when you're 75, you should step down. So tonight will be my last meeting. Paul asked me to say that.
And it was a pleasure, Mr. Lay, serving with you, and I appreciate the opportunity to work with you over the last few years. So thank you for all your hard work and insight you've given us. So,
Well, it's going to be a big loss.
That's it.
Alrighty, well, thank you, and I'm sorry to hear you're leaving, but I understand. How about Alan, do you have anything?
Well, I was shocked this afternoon when Jim laid this upon me, and kind of saddened at the same time. Jim's been a good mentor to me for the years that I've sat on council. Sometimes you agree, sometimes you didn't agree, but Jim has a way of making you understand why he disagrees with you. And when you wake up off the floor, I'm just kidding. I understand why you have reservation of the fire department leaving. When you put 75 candles on a cake, that can be really, just kidding, Jim. I'm just.
I was telling them they're going to miss the pickleball courts. They're out there all the time playing.
Well, you've done a good job in my opinion, and done a good job for the town. You've been here a long time, and you've seen a lot of changes. And our changes are positive. You've had a thumb on the scale on a lot of things. The library is one. The fire department is another one. We took a lot of flack for kind of disbanding the volunteer, but I think in the hindsight, that was one of the things that we can say was a better for everybody. We've got EMS, paramedics, and response that we've never ever had in the history of our town. And those are some monumental things that you've done. I like your history that you shared with us, family history, the historic history, and of course when you're 75 years old you have a lot of history, but just kidding. Jim, it's been an honor and you will be missed. I want to say that publicly. I miss your firm handshakes.
Thank you, Alan.
And your beard's got a little bit more to go. I cut 10 inches off mine yesterday, so ho, 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 back to you. So,
I nicked mine.
other than that, back to the town. I think our town's looking good. Spring's in the air, slowly but surely. I feel good that we live in Montverde. When you look at northern states with snow again, I know a couple weeks ago we had 6 inches of snow and 10 inches of snow in parts of the Panhandle, and a lot of my citrus grower friends were excited about that in many different ways. But you see signs of spring's in the air and it's coming, so take your Benadryl because pollen will soon be in the air. So that's what I have back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All righty, thank you. You know what, I skipped right over him. Can I get you to come down here? I apologize for that. I didn't see you back there. This is the gentleman that's heading up, he's the director of Lake County Safety, and everybody reports to him as far as fire and everything else. You go ahead and explain it.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I too want to thank you for the partnership you have with the county and trusting us for the citizens' property and their life safety. We take that seriously. We're excited for the new facility for our professionals that work. Those that were there understand that that station is truly a home away from home, where those professionals work a third of their life, see humans at their absolute worst at times, but they're there to make a difference. They're absolutely professional problem solvers. Anything from batteries to a smoke alarm to disentanglement to a horrific accident or even a structure fire. So we take that seriously, and I think this will be a good step in the trajectory that Mr. Lay had laid the foundation as we moved away from a volunteer. The other thing is I want to thank you for the generosity of inviting the senior staff for the wonderful Mission Barbecue that was offered to our team. Our senior staff, I've said this before, but we contract with 6 different municipalities throughout Lake County. I have the absolute privilege, I'm the director, but I'm the one that lives closest to the town. So I am the director of Lake County, but I'm also the fire chief and to the right hand of the town manager for anything he needs. I keep him updated. I'll share with you that we're working on some new analytics, moving away from just the average of a response time to the national standards of our national 90th percentile. So I'll be going over that in the near future with the town manager. Our analytics and data look really good. We've done some really good things since my arrival to cut down on the call take and the turnout time in the stations to give our drivers more time to reach the emergency. And so with that, I just want to thank you. But I will share with you some of my senior staff why we were having lunch or dinner outside, how beautiful it was. And I said, yeah, this town does it every month and every meeting. One of the division chiefs of my senior staff said, you know what? We were out on the other side of the fire station. He goes, this is the epitome of Americana. He says the citizens come together, they bring them in with food, and nobody's screaming. And I tell you, man, you guys are doing it right here. This is absolutely a gem of Lake County. It's what makes us stand apart. I've seen some ugly meetings throughout my career, but to the citizens that I serve and protect, kudos to you. The turnout is incredible, and what a great nation we live in, and no better place than God's beauty of Lake County and the town of Montverde. So I thank you for that partnership so much.
Well, thanks for saying that. We appreciate it. I can honestly say that I think the council wants to make everything we do a team effort, and the team is everybody. Everybody's welcome to give their opinion and make a case, because guess what? Together we can solve just about anything. you know. Alrighty, I keep going here. Joe, do you have anything?
I do. I don't know how to follow that, though, but Jim, it's been an honor. I mean, I was really looking forward to working with you a little bit longer, but I wish you the best.
Thank you.
The last thing I have is, Paul, I want to offer you your condolences for the absolute beatdown that the Eagles did on your Chiefs. So, other than that, I'm good.
Alrighty, Carol?
I will make no follow-up comment to Mr. Morganelli there, but I would like to say you will be missed, Mr. Lay. Prior to my time on the council, I found you to be of sound advice, and yeah, I'm gonna miss having you sit next to me. Even when we do pull different numbers, we always end up next to each other.
Couple years together.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you will be missed. Just Paul, if you could real briefly, Triska Park looks good. Pulling all of that out. It's heartbreaking to see all the trees gone. But do we have a estimated time update on when we might be able to walk back down there?
January.
Is that what it is?
So I am going to talk a little bit about FEMA when we go into it, but over the money. But we real quickly got out there. Sandy got a meeting coordinated with FEMA to come out and look at our debris pile. I think this was like on the 4th or the 5th. They came out. Then a day or two later, they said, "Great news! You've been approved to remove the debris pile at Stetcher at 100% recovery and the park at 100%. And by the way, it has to be done by the 10th for 100%. If it's done on the 11th, you get 75%." So needless to say, that's when I came off my vacation and worked to get the crews out there, and we got it literally done in 5 days to save the town literally $25,000. So I think that was kudos, and Sandy worked hard to get that done. So. With that said, our next step is working with FEMA to talk about the recovery or the rebuild of the dock. And there's a process. They are going to pay for recovery probably somewhere between 75 and 100% of the dock, possibly the entire dock, because it's more than 50% lost now. We're going to go through the hardening process. If you just say we want to harden it, it's only 15% at this point. But there's a process we can go through where we can maybe get a 75% recovery, and that would allow us to build a dock that will last a long, long time if we could do that. So we have that process to go through. Then, of course, we have the stormwater process that we have to deal with, because during that there was also a huge washout. So long story short, I think it's going to be closed about a year.
You weren't kidding when you said January, were you?
Nope.
And that's if everything goes as projected. I will do my best. You know, we got a lot of things in the pike, so we're going to keep working on that. And as soon as we want to go through the process to make sure we get the maximum funding so it doesn't come out of our general fund, we could try to get as much federal dollars as possible to do that.
All right, so we want to use FEMA's money, not ours, and we want to do a better job than it was. So it's going to take time.
Any chance that we could just bring the top half, the playground half, back open at some point prior to the boardwalk? Or is
We'd have
that
to-
too big of a
We would have to
safety
fence it off,
risk?
though.
Yeah, well, temporary, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, part of it, the storm project out there is probably going to commence this summer. So we're going to have that piece that will get going, and that's probably going to be a 4 to 5 month project. So those plans are scheduled to be at 60% in April, which is when I'll present them to council for their final approval. Then they'll bring them to 90 and we'll go out to bid. So my goal is to get them out to bid by June and hopefully have contractors out there by the end of July, August.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Let's see, I got a couple things. I was going to ask, can you explain the Boy Scout thing you guys are doing and you're heading up to the council?
So there's a
Boy, Girl Scout. Boy Scout.
scouting
Scouting.
Golden Eagle dinner that the town has traditionally done, I believe, over the last few years, many years. I'm not sure, to be honest, but it seems like for a while now. So
Yeah,
that,
I give it 10, 15 years.
that event is
Mhm,
coming up. That'll be March. Oh my gosh, 26 maybe.
Yeah,
20
it's the end of
Coming
March.
up quick,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, it's coming up quick. Yeah.
Yeah, so we usually don't give money to our local Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. And what I'm wanting to see if the council's okay with is not the town giving any money, but us personally giving, I think your cheapest one was $1,500.
Yes, that's for a
Okay.
table, yeah.
So what I'm proposing, if the council wants to do it, it's personally, if you guys would be okay with, there's five of us, so if we each did $300 each out of our town pay, or whatever money you got, then we would be able to support him and not dig into the town's money at all. So I personally would like to do that. Is that legal?
For you individually to contribute, absolutely.
I just gotta get the okay there.
It does go to scouting, so it will not go to me. It'll go
Right,
to
right.
scouting, yes. wanna
Right,
be
and what it
clear.
is you donate that, and they give you a table to sit at, and, you know, a little meeting. But, I'm kinda asking the council if they would you guys be okay with doing that? Okay,
300,
it's 300 each,
I'll give it.
okay. Are you okay with
Of
that?
course, I'm big into scouting.
Can I bring pennies?
Yep,
I gotta get rid of them.
yeah, give them the
And you
ball.
can always bring people, there's 10 people to a table, so that can help as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we can invite 10 people, there's only 5 of us. Well, we can bring like whoever you want, 'cause
And you just charge them money.
yeah, there you go. All right, so if you guys wouldn't mind, letting me know, and we'll figure out how to get it to, Sean's organization. But again, we
Put me down,
donate the normal money to our local Boy and Girl Scout club right next door here. It was just here just an hour ago. All righty, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
And Mayor, I'll be glad to contribute too, so if you want to break it to 200 apiece or whatever that works out to be.
Okay,
so
I got
I'll jump in.
200. Anybody else? Anybody else?
So, but I'll throw that,
Yeah.
I saw hands go up in the back over there.
250, I guess, yeah.
Well, wait, there's 5, 6. So we have four more people. Anybody want to join?
I say
Okay.
highest bidder.
Dan, Jim Peacock,
No, more for the boys, no, more for the scouts.
Get a bigger table.
you want one too? Okay. And, you want one, John? Okay. So you guys, if you wouldn't mind, there's 4 there. There's a thing, we'll give you the date. And then, we need to collect the money before. So how many we got? 10? So that's $150 each, which makes it very affordable.
It does, it brings it
You like that?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All righty. Well, thank you very much for stepping up. I
Now,
appreciate it.
Sean,
Scouting does make a big
Sean,
difference.
you need to tell the other county commissioners, step up to the plate. If your little town, you're helping out can do this, come on, Eustis, come on,
They do have a
Umatilla,
$10,000 table.
Well, I will say this, they do have a $10,000 table, and I believe
I'll wait till next year.
Commissioner Morris, to his credit, is somewhere around the $8,000 range now, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now you're getting over the Orlando area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for stepping up. Appreciate it. What
Thank
else
you.
I got? We got a bunch, so I just want to cover a couple things. We're still working on, the setback in the back of the houses, right? The 2510. Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Mayor, yeah, that'll have to go through planning and zoning first
that's
before it comes
fine.
back.
Okay, we're working on that. The lead service line repairs we're doing, has that even gone anywhere yet? I didn't meant to ask you that today and I wrote it down.
No, I believe I mentioned a couple meetings ago, we approved the money, then the next meeting, they came out with different guidance where we may not have to do the replacements. And so we got a little bit of time, so we're just waiting for their guidance to come out. We are going to have a special meeting on the 25th, and our engineers will be here to discuss our conditional use permit and what was the other big thing we're discussing? Oh, the water facility plan. And I could have those answers or have them have those answers at the meeting, or a little bit more information, or get the latest update, because our engineer will be here.
Okay, yeah, if you could do that, thank you. And then the, Anita, the density thing that we're trying to put on a charter, what's the timeline, do you think, for that one right there? So you guys know, in case you weren't here, the council agreed to put on the ballot this coming November that it will take at least 4 out of 5 council people going forward, after you vote for it, to change any density in this town. It's not going to be up to the 3 council people. It's going to take 4. So that kind of makes it harder to change density in this town, no matter who sits there, because it'll be written in the charter. And I didn't know how long it was going to take to put it together.
So we can probably bring you a draft in March and then bring it forward for approval in April and May. That'll give us enough time, if you approve it, to get it translated into Spanish and then get it to the supervisor of elections.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. I'll wait for everything else on that. All right, let's move forward. January finance report, we began with $5,048,381.03. We ended up, including the grant, well, including everything, with $6,146,257.56. We'll move on to the minutes. I need to motion to approve January 14th and January 28th minutes. If anybody would like to make the motion or discuss
I'll
them.
make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, anybody want to second it?
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against say nay. Okay, ayes have it. You already went through the FEMA, right, Paul? FEMA expense? Unless you wanted to talk more about it.
Yeah, if I can, just 30 seconds, I
Go
just
ahead.
want to talk the finance end of it and kind of let everybody know where we're at on that. So far, and again, this would be an unbudgeted item in our budget, but we have expended $241,000 in FEMA expense. Actual cost is about $75,000 less, or true cost to contractors, because we do get to include town staff time, town equipment within that. So Sandy's been working with FEMA to start the reimbursement process on that. Last we heard, it should be everything should be 100%. There's still a little bit of iffy about the staff, maybe at 75%, and the staff equipment at 75%. There's some going back and forth because they think it was hurricane stuff because we were so fast to do it and no one else did it that fast, and they're not believing we did it that quick to clean up. So we're kind of having a debate back and forth on that, which is kind of a good thing. So we will be doing, this should be everything for the cleanup effort that we have. So we will be doing a budget amendment for that. I will be getting some, as soon as we get some clarification from FEMA, I'll be getting some pricing on the dock portion of that and bringing that forward to you guys to see how you want to proceed on that, probably with 2 different ways. But I would anticipate that's probably going to be anywhere from, I would say $200,000. If we harden it the way I would like to harden it, it may be up to $700,000 to $800,000 if we can get it FEMA reimbursed.
Okay, can you explain to them, after the money's spent and we're waiting for FEMA to reimburse us, how it goes through our accounting system, so
Sure.
they can watch it?
Sure. So within your finance report that you have, we have put a temporary placeholder in there that under Public Works that says FEMA, and that's where you will track all the expenses. As and again, that particular line item will require a budget amendment in the future. As we receive the funds back, we will add a matching category when we do the budget amendment. We'll put that in under revenues, and it'll have a corresponding number where you will see that as it says FEMA grant recovery funds. And then you'll be able to see as those funds come in. It probably will come in as it did last time. It came in 2 chunks. We got some the same fiscal year that it happened, and we got some the following fiscal year. So their process, it's a 5-tier process to go through, and also state has to prove it and the federal government has to prove it. They usually do. It's just, last year they had to send a whole separate person out to determine that the pile of trees, they were truly trees. So there's all these little processes of the government that goes through. So we'll keep you updated as we go through that, and I'll make sure I point it out and highlight it in future budgets for you guys to follow and track. So right now, this is just paid directly out of general fund dollars, and hopefully be reimbursed with all the FEMA dollars in the future.
Right, so at the end of the year, when we haven't been reimbursed yet, it goes into
Correct. It'll go into the next budget year. So if we haven't got all the funds back, when we do the next year's budget, we'll put a budget category in there for FEMA grant funds, and that way you can see them as they come in. But it will go to a different fiscal year.
But it will be in expected revenues for the year.
That's correct, Mayor.
Paul, can I interject a thought here?
Yes, you can.
I would love to see some cypress trees on Truscott Park wetland area.
Sure.
Bring some cypress, the lake used to be full of cypress trees. And it would be wonderful to see the cypress trees come back.
Yep, that would be fine. I would have no issue doing that. So that's a good idea. One other thing I will point out to council, that's an expense that's not on here, and thank you for bringing up Mr. Lay. During the process of removing the trees out of Truscott in that 5-day window, we did have to take down Mr. Lay's fence on his side. He graciously let the contractors use his property to access it because of the steepness, so we will have to replace that fence. It should be recovered partially by FEMA. I don't see any issue because that was a part of the demolition and rebuild process, but I can't 100% guarantee that till we let them know about it. But nevertheless, it's probably going to be in the 25,000 range max. So.
And when you started off with the FEMA conversation, did I understand correctly, you anticipated maybe somewhere about 75,000 on the cost?
Well, we are able to turn in the staff time for pre-hurricane prep, and also the staff time for our cleanup, because obviously staff was involved we were there the day of the hurricane cleaning up till 10 o'clock at night, starting the process to get the road. So we are able to recover that overtime, and also the use of our equipment as a town. They have a per hourly rate for the different equipment. Is that correct, Sandy? Am I saying that right? Okay. And so, yeah, so we'll be able to recover that somewhere between 75 and 100% of the cost for that staff time.
And that's why there's that 6,800 equipment usage for.
That's correct. That's correct. And there's some other miscellaneous stuff in there that's kind of related to it that we'll see how the recovery comes, but we should get close to 100% of the amount that's there. Mayor, that brings up a thought as I was talking fence. A few months ago, the mayor brought up why we're redoing the fence at Truscott Park, that the fence on the other side,
The north side.
thank you, is off the property line by several feet, maybe more, for whatever reason.
20 feet.
By 20 feet. Why we're doing the fence, I mean, it'll be an additional cost. Would you guys like to survey where that property line is and put the fence on Truscott Park where it needs to be so it increases the park size?
Yeah, there's a house right to the left of that park, and that house has been empty a long time now. The folks died, and the relatives aren't sold it yet. Before they sell it, I wanted to a new person, I wanted to move that fence where it's supposed to be so there's no issue 10 years from now. So, you guys okay?
We did that for Mr. Loggins because he was so upset about the park coming in. And so we didn't take all what he
Right.
thought was his property. So, but now that it's being resolved and he's
Right.
gone,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, if you guys are okay, we're going to just add that to the bill.
So we'll add it to the mix. It'll be separate from FEMA, obviously, but I'll go ahead and get that priced in.
And then everybody's got what they expect, supposed to have, and Anita can protect us.
That would be the time to do it while we're doing it, so.
Okay. All right, great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
The grants, you want to talk about that?
Sure. So this is a follow-up from the mayor's request a couple meetings ago. And again, probably about 4 or 5 meetings ago, I showed you a very detailed spreadsheet that tracks all the grants and where they're going to. It's, detailed down to the vendor and everything. And we have those available anytime you want to sit down and look at those. But what I wanted to do at the mayor's request was kind of do an overlay so you could kind of see what grants we have and where the funds are at in the process, because obviously there's a process you kind of go through. You got to get the bills, collect them, certify them. So I'll kind of explain I'm going to jump down to the second one and just walk through that, so make sure you kind of understand that. And you'll see where it says Lake County IGA Impact Grant. So that's the $1 million we received from Lake County. That's a collection of 3 different grants over time where they amended it. It started off at 455, went to 887 or something like that, and we got another 27,000 for a collective of $1 million. Of that grant, the next line you'll see paid to contractors pending reimbursement. So these are recent checks or monies that were written, and so they have not been codified to be turned in for reimbursement. The next line of the 422, so that is submitted and pending reimbursement. So all of those have been codified with return checks, and we ensured they meet all the criteria. They're being reviewed by the county, and we should, like for this one, we should have the check sometime next week for that one. The next line over is the actual money we received from reimbursements. Then the next line over is the 2, just so you can see the total. It's the collection of the amount we received plus what's pending. That shows you basically we have 527 we received or is pending to be received. So that's a breakdown of all the different grants that we have. There's probably $45 million or so worth of different grants there to track, and a lot of different grants that we received. Does that make sense to everybody? It's a little bit, you know. No, I tried to simplify it as much as possible.
No, I understand how you got laid out. I can get with you later.
Okay.
I don't understand it.
But at least you can follow where the grants are in the process is kind of what the goal was on that.
Right.
So.
Well, I'm looking, here's the grant amount, here's what we spent, here's what we submitted, here's what we still have to submit, and here's what the, we've recovered.
So that's exactly what that shows, just in a different order, I guess.
Okay.
Than
What's the contractor pending reimbursement request? Like the
so
190?
the contractor pending, so that's money we spent, but we haven't turned in for reimbursement, so it was recently spent. So we haven't got the return checks yet. We're waiting to put everything together to return those. So those are just new bills that have been paid.
Okay, so how do the columns add up to $1 million?
Well, that 1 million's the total grant.
Right, so we're looking how much we billed, how much we got back, how much we're waiting for, how much we haven't billed. All that should add up to $1 million.
I mean, I could add one more line in it saying unused grant if that probably would answer that question. I can add that column in there.
Well,
So,
yeah, I'll get with you.
yeah, I think that's what you're saying. You just want one more column that says unused
Yeah.
funds. Yeah, that would be easy.
I'm not that smart, so.
No, you are. You know it.
All right, we can get.
Any other questions on that?
Nope.
From anybody? Okay.
All right, well, thank you very much. Just keep it rolling. Anita, if you would, please, ordinance number 2024-43.
An ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Lake County, Florida, amending the Town of Montverde's comprehensive plan pursuant to 163.3187 Florida statutes by amending the comprehensive land use plan designation from Town of Montverde single-family medium to Town of Montverde office residential commercial ORC on the future land use map for the herein described property, consisting of approximately 0.365 plus or minus acres, providing for severability and Scrivener's errors, directing the town manager to amend said comprehensive plan, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the forwarding of this ordinance to the State of Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, providing for an effective date.
All right, well, thank you very much. Everybody should be familiar with this one. I'm going to open it up to the public. Any comments from the public on this ordinance? Okay, I'll bring it back to council. Any discussion with council? This is the second reading.
Correct.
So, before we pass it, thank you for coming. Before we pass it, we need to discuss it. Let's do it right here.
My issue still was, which the applicant already answered the question, but just about noise from traffic and from commercial operations, but the applicant already discussed it. So.
If you can't hear any of us, just raise your hand so we know, okay? And we can fix it, but we got to know. Can you say that again? Because I think that.
Sure. So can you hear me back there now? All right. So my concern, the applicant already answered that concern, but that's really the only thing I had here was just about noise for traffic and the commercial actual operation. That was all.
Yes, sir. Yeah, come on up.
Could you add some more details as to exactly what will be going on there? Will there be some demolition, or this is the first I've heard of this?
Oh, okay. Well, the applicants are here, right? Would you guys like to come up and explain again one more time what you guys are going to be doing there? This gentleman here wasn't here the first meeting.
I can do it. Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if you want me to summarize very quickly as the applicant's coming down. So as a summary, this is an application. It's the second reading. So they did approve this the first time in a legislative action, in this case, of changing the land use map from RM to ORC, office residential commercial. So this is the future land use map. The applicant does wish to get the change for a coffee shop, maybe some other things as well. The applicant can explain that. What we reviewed last time, and the next action is a quasi-judicial action, which is the zoning that goes along with the land use. So they have to do the zoning, the land use first, and then the zoning. Just to keep in mind and summarize that the applicant still has to go through a site planning process. So would be submitting engineering plans, parking, asking for any kind of waivers to that kind of, to our code, essentially. So this would be, these two steps tonight are the second readings for each one of those, the land use, which is now, and then the zoning. And then they would still have to come back with a site plan. That's when you'd probably get more of the specific questions about how many parking spots. You'll get to see an actual site plan. What hours of operation they're going to have. It'll all be very detailed in that site plan approval. Developers agreement document. That would be, which would, be the rules in place for them to follow, essentially. So.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically we're looking for rezoning to the ORC designation as opposed to C1 because we want a lesser commercial type business. We want something where people can come and socialize, come and gather, coffee, beer, wine, something like that. Nothing with the commercial kitchen. It's not going to be anything really high commercial use. But like Sean says, we have to go through the site planning. So it just depends how everything plays out with that.
All righty. Does that help you? I'm sorry?
May I add more?
Yeah, please.
So I would have concerns about some of the construction and maybe some of the infrastructure, particularly with sidewalks. I do have some other issues with some of the other ordinances, but things to maybe consider as we go forward with that.
Yeah, when you do the site plan, right, we'll get into that then?
Yeah, we'll get into the site plan. When we get into the site plan, we'll address that, as well as if you had other issues about sidewalks and other sites, we can certainly address those as they come up too.
Yeah, and another comment I wanted to make is we don't plan on demolishing anything. We want to keep the house as is and kind of keep it looking like a house as much as possible. So we want to do like as little change to it as possible.
Yeah, it's a historic home.
It is a historic home, yep. It was built in 1900, and we love it. We love it that way.
And council, just a reminder, by approving this, you are changing the property from the residential to ORC, so it's any use allowed under the office residential, so she could sell it tomorrow and someone may have a different view about it. So just understand that you're not approving for a business, you're approving for the zoning.
All righty. Well, thank you very much, Tree. All righty. Yes, come on up.
Is there going to be a drive-through?
Come on up. That's it?
A drive-through,
no.
I could answer the question.
We have to have it on the record with his name, please.
Yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah, and I can answer the question for you on that. Yeah.
Allen Lake, 17569, County Road 455.
What's your name?
So being a coffee shop, is there going to be a drive-through, which would be a lot of traffic, especially with the school?
Yeah, good.
People coming and going.
Good question. That would not be permitted underneath the ORC. The C1, it might be permitted, but they're not asking for C1. So that would not permit that use.
All righty. Anybody else? Okay, bring it back to council. Any questions, any talk, whatever? Do you want to make a motion? Make a motion.
No thoughts. I'll make a motion. Ordinance 2024-43 be approved for, as explained.
I have motion approved.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Ayes have it. If you would, please, Anita, 2024-42.
An ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde changing the zoning designation of real property owned by Michael and Marie Teresa Kay and located at 17510 County Road 455, Montverde, Lake County, Florida, from a single-family medium-density R1M designation to ORC Office Residential Commercial, providing for directions to the town manager, providing for severability and scrivener's errors, providing for conflict, and setting an effective date.
Okay, this is the next step with the same property on doing the zoning. You want to explain that, please?
Yeah, so this is the follow-up to that. You had, you just made the legislative change to your comp plan map. This would be the subsequent zoning request to it. And again, as a reminder, just if you issue the zoning tonight, you move forward with this, they still have the site plan, as I said, with the last case. Site plan to submit.
Thank you very much. We'll open it up to the public comment. All right, we'll bring it back to council. This is the second time we're reading this one too, so you guys should be familiar with it. This is changing the zoning to the same property. Any discussions?
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve 2024-42 as so written.
I need
I
a
second
second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Against, say nay. Ayes have it. Congratulations. Okay, we'll move on to our next resolution, if you would please, 2023-87.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Florida, granting a conditional use permit in a R1L single-family low-density zoning district in the Town of Montverde to permit an outdoor storage business for boats, RVs, and trailers on the herein described property generally located at Fosgate Road and Ridgewood Avenue, Montverde, Florida, owned by Parque Verde LLC, providing for conditions, providing for an expiration date, and providing for an effective date.
Alrighty, this is property on the pretty much on the corner of Fosgate and Ridgewood, where the nursery is. And I'm going to let this young man get up and just tell us what he's doing.
So at this time, we're requesting to table this until March 11th.
All right, you a what?
March 11th.
Okay.
Requesting a what? No?
Table it.
Oh, okay. All right, we can do that. All right. Do we have to vote on that? Okay.
Yes, please, if you'll specify the date so we don't have to do the advertising again, if you don't mind.
I make a motion that we postpone this to March 11th meeting. I need a second.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Ayes have it. I like that. That was fast. All righty. Huh? Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to 2024-44, if you would, please, Anita.
An ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Florida, to change the zoning from Lake County Agriculture to Town of Montverde Single Family Residential PUD for the hereinafter described property owned by Montverde Land Co. LLC and located north of Osgood Road, west of Lake Apopka, and partially east of Kirk Island Road, directing the town manager to amend the zoning map as herein provided after the passage of this ordinance, approving variances from town code with conditions, providing for severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
All right, thank you very much. I was going to ask the applicant to come up and speak to the council about anything you'd like to speak for up front. No, not yet. You're not the applicant.
Mr. Mayor, do you want,
I'm sorry?
before the applicant comes up, do you want me just to give a very quick summary?
Yeah, that's a
beyond-
good idea. Let me,
Okay.
that's a good idea. Thank you, Sean.
So this is a continuation from January 14th. And again, just as a reminder, the land use was designated for this property long ago. This is now a zoning request for PUD. So this is a continuation of the hearing. We're not going to get into all the details. I think we have the map up here that summarizes what's being requested. The single family, they're going to a PUD request. There's the conceptual site plan layout, 138 lots. You have all the details. I mentioned this. I'm not going to, as you remember last time, Lisa read all the waiver requests and some details about things that we're asking for. That's all in your report still. It's on the record. Staff has expressed concern from a safety aspect that we feel like would be addressed and before we could recommend full approval. We did recommend for approval, assuming that I'm trying to be clear here, assuming that the condition of a safety issue was addressed with road width when it comes to fire trucks, and we have that documentation from the county that 20-foot lane, 20-foot minimum width of a road is required for safe access for fire trucks, EMS vehicles, as well as some turning radiuses. So that was a concern that staff has requested that we'd have to address at some point, and as well as some waivers that were requested, which we were supporting with some conditions as well that the applicant has agreed to do too. So available for any questions before the applicant comes up, or whenever, Mayor, that you want our staff to answer any questions, of course.
We had some safety issues when it comes to pedestrians on the streets and stuff like that on these roads. Ain't that been addressed yet?
Well, that was also the sidewalk. I think you're referring to sidewalk. That is a part of our comprehensive plan is to have sidewalk connectivity, particularly when it comes to new development. And I think one of the suggestions that we had was a sidewalk on Paul. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it would be on one side of the road that we have where we have the issues with being proper width.
Yeah, I mean, staff is going by our outdoor standards, which the council approved for obviously safety. We are recommending that a 24-foot road be put in with a ribbon curb on it and a sidewalk on one side. And obviously the applicant came up and shared some data and some information about how much they wanted to do. So staff still hasn't come to an agreement of where we need to be in amount wise, whether the town does that or we make the applicant do that. So that's kind of where I think left off at the last meeting. So that would still, until we come to an agreement, staff still isn't comfortable moving forward with the project until we can get the road and safety issues dealt with.
All right, well, thank you very much. Do you guys come on up here and talk to us?
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Before they come, have we addressed have the applicant completed or submitted a traffic study yet? To my knowledge, we haven't seen one, correct? Or am I
there was a traffic study that was done, and I believe it was updated too, which essentially just provides a trip count of what's going to be created.
Okay, go ahead. I'm David, right?
Tom.
Yeah.
Tom. Yeah.
We have a David. He's had a hip replacement, so
Oh, yeah, help yourself.
he's not here. Tom Settle, 1140 South Orlando Avenue, Maitland.
Can you
Could
speak
you
up
move
there?
your
Thank
microphone?
You can raise it up a bit more. There you go. There you go. There you go. Thank you. There you go. Thank you very much.
Tom Settle, 1140 South Orlando Avenue, Maitland, Florida. There was a traffic report done and updated. It dealt with, excuse me, the level of service, and would that be consistent with the town standards after what we proposed was built. And from the time we first floated the idea of redeveloping this property, and we approached the town with a much more intensive plan of over 300 lots, 344 lots to be exact, to which the council was not open to. But from that point to the point where we are now, where we're proposing, a fraction of that amount, 137, says 138, something like that.
137.
It hasn't changed. The results of the traffic studies say that the level of service will be maintained. It would have been maintained at 344 lots. And I'm not a traffic engineer, but I've asked the traffic engineer a lot of questions. And from the earliest staff comments to these plans, when it was pointed out the road width, the issue has gravitated you know, it started out as, the suggestion was from the engineer's comments, the town consulting engineer's comments, suggested that that road width would not accommodate the additional traffic. And now the comments have gravitated towards one of a safety issue. It's my understanding that from a, you know, I tried to explain to the best of my abilities last week, not a lawyer either, but on 3 levels, you know, on a federal level, and more, maybe you can help me with that.
You got to get up here. Come on. You got to have your name and number and social security number and
Firstborn child.
say your name. And
Yeah,
so
Morris
thank you.
Osborne.
Thank you very much.
Address, my home address, 13701 Centralia Road in Brooksville.
Okay.
And yeah, what Tom was saying, I don't want to bore you again, but I'd rather start the opposite direction. I'd rather start with Montverde's code. So your code has a section on transportation, and it basically says that you made a determination that impact fees are the fair share for a development impact on transportation. And that's in your code, is what it says. So that's the first step. There's other things in the code that talk about, you know, if you're going to require the developer to do things outside the impact fees, right? You can have a development agreement, and you can have the developer take part in that. But your code says it's an in lieu up to the maximum amount of what the impact fees would be. So that's step 1. And then step 2, if we go up to a state level, the state level comp plan basically affirms that. It says you don't have to, as a town, have a, you know, your comp plan does not have a requirement to have a transportation element in it, but Montverde has made a decision to have one in it. So the state says if you do have it in it, then basically the same thing. It's a fair share. You know, it has to be, you know, fair for the developer as well, that what those impacts will be. And also, you can't, you're not supposed to as a town, you know, if your roads are substandard now, which you admit they are, you can't make a developer that just happens to be at the end of the road pay to bring your roads up to standard. The state law actually says that that share is paid by the town to bring it up to standards, and then the developer has to account for anything that his 138 homes would do to then impact that. So that's how that's supposed to work. Then on the federal level, that's just, there was a recent Supreme Court case in April of last year that basically said the same thing. You know, that there's the Nolan and Dolan case, and I just said to the board last time that it's kind of remarkable that your Muni code or your code in here in the town of Montverde uses almost the exact same language that are in the Nolan and Dolan case from the 80s and the 90s, that there's this rough proportionality, but there has to be an essential nexus between this harm, I'm just going to call it harm, that this development is making. There has to be an essential nexus to what you're asking him to do. That's called an exaction, and that's what those cases say as well. None of us are interested in litigating. Those cases that I've brought to you, and Nita would know, we studied in law school, they take 7 to 10 years to litigate. It's ridiculous. So I know this developer, they do tremendous projects, and we need housing. So all he's asking is that you work with him. It should be a fair share. Even though your code says it's only supposed to be the amount of the impact fees, I think Tom last time has offered $500,000, which I think the impact fees are only $120,000, so he's offered more. And this is just for transportation, it's not other impact fees. So that's kind of our position. We want to help the town, but he should not be held accountable for bringing your roads up to just standard just because he's at the end of the road. And I don't know how many houses there are around there. I've toured back in there. I got a tour in a golf cart from one of the neighbors a long time ago, and I know the lot sizes. are smaller. One of your things that you've put on this development is half-acre lot sizes, and yet the homes adjacent to it, most of them are a quarter acre. There is a development, I think, on the other side to the north where there are 3/4 of an acre. So, you know, he's worked with you on that and carved back the number of lots. But again, just asking for you to be fair as well to him. So does that answer your question, Tom?
So it was my hope that you would use this last month to discuss, you know, you made the comment that that was a lot to digest in the last meeting. So, you know, my hope was that you would get with council and staff and talk about, you know, not just, you know, fairness, but, you know, we understand this to be quasi-judicial, and my understanding is that needs to be based on, you know, fact, not feelings. Feelings aren't fact. We all have them, but anyway, we'd hope that you would consider our offer fair. We think it's fair to, you know, to mitigate those things that, you know, according to our council, we're not really responsible to fix. We absolutely, you know, want connectivity to the trail system. You know, that's an amenity to our residents. We absolutely, and you know, to the trail system and to the community, tying it together to the community. Do you have any questions for me?
I always wanted to ask the developer. I mean, I'm not supposed to, but I think this is safe. Why do the developers always want a PUD?
Okay.
I don't understand that.
Well, I mean, so zoning categories in most places are antiquated. You know, they haven't evolved with the marketplace. And it seems as though
Can you just talk up a little more? They can't hear you.
PUDs,
Thank you.
which is basically negotiated zoning, right? It allows, you know, private-public partnership to make a better product.
In what way, though? That's what I'm getting at. I don't understand
if
it.
if you have a zoning, it's rigid, right? It calls for a, you know, a 60 by 140, you know, R1. It might a specific lot size, and it's not fluid. It doesn't allow for much in the way of design. It's just rigid.
Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of like, I don't know how to put it. I kind of like to make a list, the advantages to the developer for PUD, and have a list of what's the advantages, why you want it, and then what your disadvantages are, in your opinion, of having a PUD, and then the same with what's the advantages to a developer for straight zoning, and what's the disadvantages to a developer. Can you know what I'm saying?
So, do you want to? Sure.
If you would, please help yourself.
Yeah,
And by the way, as soon as we're done talking here, we're going to open it up to the residents so everybody can talk. So just kind of take it all in right now.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I did have a question
what's your name,
for
sir?
Anita, because, you know, I'm not a skilled.
Your
Oh, I'm
name.
sorry, you got to say your name from
name.
the beginning.
Okay, Ryan Kanan, Kimley Horn, 200 South Orange Avenue, Orlando.
He's soft-spoken. Can you just turn it up a little?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll have to do that. Can we turn that volume up?
Oh,
But
okay.
I'll try and get real close.
Speak up a little more.
I guess I'm a little soft-spoken. I had a question, though, just, you know, to clarify in my own mind what the status was after the last meeting we had. And my understanding was we had a public hearing, we closed the public hearing, refused to, you know, the town refused to accept more comments from anybody, us or the developer, or the public. And am I wrong about that?
The meeting was continued. I mean, staff presented the staff report and such,
Yeah.
and the applicant, y'all got an opportunity to get up and speak.
Yeah.
But then it was continued by the council, and it wasn't open to the public yet. So this is the continuation of the first reading.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Okay, back to PUD, back to planning.
one of the good things you have in this town, well, there's a lot of good things, but one of the good things is you have an ethos of what this town is supposed to be, and you took the trouble and the effort through, some of the good work that was done by the planning group to prepare that beautiful guideline of how development should occur in the town.
Oh, the book?
Yeah, the book.
Yeah, you like that,
Thanks.
huh? That was his.
So, yeah, I know. And I salute that.
10 years ago.
Yeah, and I think that was a wonderful step in the direction. So the difference between the PUD approach to doing wonderful things that are not required with straight zoning, so all the environmental ideas that are in the plan today, all the habitat creation that will be part of the landscape architecture, the design of the landscape architecture, none of that would be required in straight zoning. And so you should be proud of the fact that you're going to get that extra quality as a result of the work that was done with that ordinance, with that guideline document, and the ability of our developer to step up to the plate and execute. And all that's going to be reflected very clearly in all the detailed plans that follow this step we're in. Does that help, Mr. Mayor?
Hmm?
Does that help?
Okay, so you're saying that we get better landscaping?
You're going to get better everything. You're going to get better design. You're going to get better environmental.
No, okay, wait. Design. What do you mean by that? I'm sorry. I don't know any of this.
Design is the landscape, the trail, the way the open space is engineered to be multifunctional, to create beautiful vistas, to create habitat that'll support bird life. And none of that would be required or even contemplated in straight zoning. So it's a huge plus to go PUD. And it gives you the ability to negotiate issues, which has been done very effectively by Paul and your staff, and us to respond effectively. So it's a partnership approach to better design and better quality development.
Okay. What's the disadvantages for a developer to do a PUD?
It's more work.
It's more work?
Yeah,
for us. There's no other advantages for you guys?
No, for the town, no. The advantage for the town is you're going to get a way better product, and for us too.
No, I'm strictly what's the advantages to a developer for a PUD?
Those are the things I've been dwelling on.
Design, landscape, trails,
quality of development, habitat creation, extra protection on the water and the drainage, and a lot of that's been explained by our engineer before. It's a net plus, and I think your planner would probably support that idea.
Well, I'm going to ask him in a minute. What's our advantages?
Okay.
Wait, go ahead.
No, I think that summarizes it from my point of view.
Okay, so the only disadvantage is it's more work?
Yeah, it's more expensive and more work, but it's worth it.
Okay.
You get a better product. We get a better product.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay.
And you deserve it. It's a big parcel. It's a critical. You have frontage on the lake, so you deserve the best you can get.
Well, I was looking at it, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm a beginner. On the disadvantages for a developer, I have folks that I know that are developers, and I asked them their opinion too, and they told me a disadvantage from a developer side of not doing a PUD was the lot sizes. And the straight zoning requires a certain amount of feet, the frontage on the road, for example, how far back, how wide they are, all the way to the end. Those are the kind of things that can be negotiated during PUD.
Yeah.
So, and maybe these guys have been through this more than me, but I'm just not up to speed on this stuff, and I want to be, and I want to be able to explain it to the residents, and maybe Sean can help. What's the advantages to a PUD for the town?
Well, I'll speak to the advantage of the advantage to this in a PUD versus the straight zoning, and it primarily lies in the trail, the park donation for the boat ramp, and then the way that stormwater system is managed through an HOA. I think it's an effective use of the way to address water quality. No, actually, the design standards would apply to a straight zoning through a subdivision. Anything that's, I think, as of June 13th, 2016, that comes after that date, a straight zoning would still follow the standards if it's 4 units or more. But in this particular case for them, the advantage is what I just said. You're going to get the park, the trail, more of an effective way to treat water quality. So, for instance, if you did a straight zoning, and maybe they get less lots, maybe it's 110, and we've done some lots, we've done some math on that. Maybe it's 120. The advantage.
What's the zoning they're going for? RM1.
That would be R1L. Because you can't do R1M because the land use has already been provided.
Okay, so R1L.
Yeah, it has to be R1L, and you're required to half-acre.
And that's whether it's a PUD or not, right?
Well, that's not why. I mean, you could do the straight zoning R1L as well. You'd still have to follow the subdivision criteria, but what they're giving you that would not come out of a straight zoning, or that makes sense. It's been a long day. What you're getting from this versus a straight zoning, the PUD, is the park, the trail, and
stormwater,
and what we believe is a better effective use, the way to treat stormwater, because that's managed through an HOA. There's easements that are over the lots, requiring them to not, homeowners to not go into those areas and do construction of impervious surfaces. And you'll have an HOA that has some pretty strict criteria on how to manage those stormwater areas, versus if you had 120 units that was done through straight zoning, you'd be dealing with 120 separate people doing that. You might have, the disadvantage there is 5 years down the road, you could have a code enforcement nightmare, dealing with different landowners, property owners, doing one thing one way, thinking that they can, put their shed in the stormwater area, and you got to go out there and code enforce it. And whereas if the HOA is managing as if they propose, you're not going to have to deal with that. You're going to have a professional association. They're going to have to professionally manage it according to the way we want them to.
So straight zoning can't have an HOA.
You can set some of that up as well. You could do that.
So if we did,
but they're probably going to change the layout. That's why we.
The straight zoning or PUD can have an HOA to manage what you're saying.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. The advantage is they may do the lot layout different, right?
Right. It's not really an advantage or a disadvantage because they both can have it.
I think what Sean was one of the things just referring on detention and the water quality. So what's worked out that we worked out with them, there is we require an environmental swell to any lot that backs up to the water line. Under a straight zoning, as each lot was built, they would build their own swell. They would have to maintain it, which some do, some don't. And that would be done by each individual lot owner. How this PUD is set up, and just kind of following up on Sean, the developer is going to build an environmental swell all the way around the lakeside that kind of protects that water quality that we've been talking about from the fertilizers and things. Well, then the HOA is going to maintain that within an easement. That was Sean's point, that we would have to work with each individual homeowner, and we do struggle in town because the homeowners individually don't maintain them very. They get filled in with dirt. They don't clean them. They tear them down, and so that's all. I think that was the main thing about the water quality for everyone.
Now you're depending on an HOA to go into somebody's yard and say, you guys filled this, you got to clean it up.
Well, they're going to actually maintain it and mow it as their own property. That's how this is set up. And then if they don't, we can cite the HOA.
Okay. Well, I guess what I'm getting at, and I probably want to just go ahead and open up to the residents.
Can I get one minute?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Mayor. I think the other thing is you probably wouldn't get several $100,000 through the straight zoning process, but you're getting more than the fair share.
What do you mean, no? I didn't follow that.
Well, I think what we're saying is, as was pointed out by our counsel earlier, there's a lot of rules that say this is the developer's fair share based on the proportion of what he's doing. And I think what we're saying is we're offering a lot more, hundreds of thousands of dollars more than would be normally required.
Oh, all right. I see. You're saying that if we do a PUD and go that route, you're going to give us that money If we don't, you're not gonna give us that money? Okay. All right, well, okay.
Can we open up to
Let
the
me,
public?
let me open it up to the residents. And, you know, I didn't give you a chance last time.
Yeah,
I apologize to that. Come on up.
Can I ask Sean just one quick question?
Yes,
just,
ma'am.
just to
What-
clarify.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
I just want to ask Sean a quick question. All right. Does the PUD grant the opportunity to renegotiate lot size? Yes or no?
The PUD anytime you do a PUD, you can change the lot size.
Virtually everything's open for negotiation.
Yeah, but it has to be in the ordinance. When we want you know, to be clear, it wouldn't be something that like we would just change willy-nilly.
Right, right.
Down there, but you put it in the ordinance, it can be different than the straight zoning, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Christian. I'm representing 17701 8th Street. I disagree with the decision to convert that Osgood property from agricultural to the residential, this PUD. I moved to Montverde about 4 years ago, and before that, I lived in a number of different cities, towns, states, and had the opportunity to see how different governments operate and manage their communities. The issues I have with this property is that, you know, Montverde has this charm, which is what brought me to Montverde, choose to live here. You guys are probably aware of this. I'm probably preaching to the choir, but, you know, it has this tranquility and this sense of community. And, you know, when there are issues that have not been resolved with the current community, and there's a rush to try and place a development like this here, it's going to put a strain on the community that exists. I've noticed that there are some, at least on 8th Street, there are some infrastructure issues, there's some public safety issues. With infrastructure, you know, the roads are deteriorating there. There's no way more traffic is going to be tolerated on those roads. And I do commend, you know, the town for going out with and filling up some of the potholes and things like that there, but those roads need to be repaired. We have drainage issues already there in the corner, or in the intersection of 8th Street and Hickory Avenue. After every rainfall, there's a deposit of soil and dirt, and you know, my family brought this issue up one time, and there was a truck that came by and cleaned it up that one time. And this is nothing against you. You guys are doing a great job. This is a small town, and I do understand that. But you know, that is a public safety hazard. I mean, people who ride bikes and motorcycles and even cars, there's no traction. I mean, there's a thick pile of dirt that's there. The other thing I've noticed is that there's been an increase in the number of families and animal pet owners who like to walk. Okay, so we've got these streets, there are no sidewalks. You combine cars with pedestrians, and an accident is going to happen. So all those areas are going to need some type of infrastructure like that. You know, you couple that also with the issue of our homelessness issue. Just a few nights ago, I walked out with my family, and I do want to acknowledge that home that was abandoned, that you guys you know, took down, you took care of. I had concerns about people living in there. I appreciate you guys for doing that. But even still, when I was walking home, the sun was setting. It was about nighttime. Two individuals just popped out of the woods, pushing their bikes with all their personal belongings on it. And I'm just like, whoa, who are these people? Now I'm sensing that there may be people living in the backwoods over there. So there's just a lot going on with the community as it exists now. And to rush in, to have more people moving in and having all these homes, it's just going to take away from the charm. And when I look at this map here, I mean, that it represents nothing of Montverde, which, you know, I like to consider as Montverde, and so that to me is a lush green mountainous area. That right there, that's not that. So I know you guys are probably thinking this, and you're considering this, but I hope that, you know, you guys make the right decision for Montverde. You know, you listen to the voices not only here, but also the unheard voices, because there are a lot of opinions out there of people who unfortunately cannot make it. You know, my daughter's being brave and tough today. Usually she's in bed by now. But I appreciate everyone's time and letting me speak here. Thank you.
We appreciate you coming too. Thank you very much. Alrighty, anybody else would like to talk to the council? Come on up. I think this gentleman's ahead.
Get him up here. Hurry up. Yeah.
Christy Anthony, 18850 Kirk Island Lane. I want to talk about Kirk Island Lane. I have to read this because I got bad. As I understand, approximately 20 residential lots will be split quarter acre on the east side of an 8-foot subdivision wall and a quarter acre on the west side of the wall in Kirk Island Lane. Those lots will be part of the subdivision and heavily traveled by homeowners in getting to their backyards. Therefore, Kirk Island Lane must be constructed just like the other roads in the subdivision, because it is going to be a subdivision road, to the city of Montverde and Lake County standards. Otherwise, the city is going to be responsible for that road. Maybe not right now, but when you have all of these homeowners that are taxpayers, 5 years from now, things are going to be happening. So I don't know. I don't understand why this road, which are going to have homeowners driving up and down it, cannot be built the same way as the other roads in the subdivision. There's no reason I can think of except save money. That's all I got to say.
So you're saying that little gray line to the left is Kirk Island Lane, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying that road should be just as built as good as the one, the white line next to it?
The subdivision goes all the way out to the end. I mean, we're going to have lots all the way out into the swamp.
Yeah. Okay, and those the gray lines actually cutting through the yards, so the people that own those homes are going to have a road behind their house.
Yeah, the only way they can get, unless the wall's not there, the only way they can get there is drive down the road, and that is going to be a subdivision road.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm going to let you guys do it, but let me just write it down. We'll readdress it when I bring you guys back up. Okay, so that's what you're saying, that you want that road maintained as good as the first
Right.
road.
If people are going to be using it, subdivision people, they're going to have. It
Okay,
should be.
well, okay, no, we got it.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well,
A
let
little
me
wound up. Okay.
let me go through the other questions, and then we'll let the developer come up and
Okay.
talk about that.
Do I get a rebuttal?
Huh?
Do I get a rebuttal?
Yeah.
In case they
Yeah.
say something
Yeah,
I don't like?
Yeah, I'll definitely let you. I wouldn't miss it for the world. All right. Anybody else would like to bring something else up to the council about the George, go ahead. Thank you.
George Gansamo, 177 O'Neill Drive. I'm a retired landscape contractor, and I've landscaped most of the subdivisions coming out from all of Dr. Phillips and a good portion of it. This thing is a blank map. Number one, there's nothing on it. The first one was artist rendering, was beautiful. We could see what he was going to do, and it's totally foreign to this. I have seen nothing on this back thing that works for the town. As a matter of fact, they're going to bring all their sewage treatment treatment out and dump it in our front yards. And this is how they're going to irrigate this lush landscape irrigation? I don't think so. They don't want to put in sprinklers. They don't want to do anything. He's trying to build on a beer budget, and it can't be done. I, for one, would like to know how he thinks this is right for all the people in Montverde to catch all their sewage treatment water in our front yards. You know, that's it. Nothing, not one drop on his place. You can't put them in a common area someplace else. That's just one thing. And then something that we could see. Everything here is, well, it'll be good. You'll love it. Why don't you show us what we're going to love? Every set of plans I've ever seen were pretty complete. This is nothing but little boxes, and it's a joke. But the sewage treatment plant is really bad. Why are we getting it dumped in our front yard? So to water your plants. Yeah, you're building something nice for the town. You know, that'll be wonderful.
Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna have them come up in a little bit, and I'm writing down what each person's talking about so we can address that. Go ahead.
Pamela Cox, 17705 Broad Street. And they mentioned earlier that quite a few of the properties in the neighborhood were not half acre. One of the roads that they want to drive into is Temple. Temple has 20 lots on that road that are half acre each, and the ones on the corner are larger. And also, if I were going to buy a piece of a home on the west side of the 4th largest lake in Florida, I'm going to have a boat. You're going to have 138 houses there. Let's say only half of them have boats. We have a boat ramp down there that's nothing but concrete in the lake. Maybe they're going to do some improvement to it later on. I live right to the left. I live to the right of that property, and a while back they had a fishing development where 25 people were parking their boats with their trailers at an angle across the street, and it was wonderful. We're talking 23 boats. They don't even have a boat ramp in this development. If they're going to use our boat ramp that the government is supposed to be improving with $100,000, I think I've heard, they need to have an acre or possibly 2 acres right next to the left of the boat ramp where people can park their trailers. Because if they've got 138 houses in there, 23 lots is not going to be a place for, and even the town has talked about paving that area across the street from my property for the people to park their boats, which is fine. I mean, their trailers, which is fine with me. But if you're going to have 138 houses there and only half of them have boats that are all going to take up their driveways also, they got to have a place to park their trailers when they go into the 4th largest lake in Florida to go fishing. So that's my opinion. And the fact that they don't think all of the properties around here are, big enough. Like I said, there's 30 lots, including on Broad Street. There's 10 more. They're all half-acre lots, and they are right across the street from that property. So anyways, if they're going to continue and they're able to go ahead with their development, I think they should either have their own boat ramp also or a larger parking lot for people to put their trailers.
All righty, well, thank you very much. Come on up, state your name.
Randy Ellman, 16603 Lowry Road, Montverde, Florida. I want to thank you, Mayor, for asking those questions. I really think those are important questions about, what are the advantages to PUD. I have been, through my work, dealt with variances, zoning. I work for a contractor. And I can answer the question that, at least from my experience, why the PUD? Because it benefits the developer. And in my experience, it's always benefited the developer. And the residents come along and they find out. I'll give you an example. There was a development in East Orange County. This would go back about 35 years. And I work for a screen room company. We build pool enclosures and everything. That's why we deal with zoning variances. I've been before other, I've even counseled people on getting variances. Anyways, Orange County approved this development. It's in East Orange County. I can't remember the name, but I could get it for you. So the residents move in. They call me. They want to put a screen room on the back of their house. Well, guess what? They can't put a screen room on the back of their house. This is Florida. We want to put a screen room, just a little screen room. Can't do it. Well, guess what? This was a PUD. This is back when no one even knew what PUDs were, planned unit development. And so the developer had used all of the lots, similar, something like this, and had built all of the lots, so the zoning wouldn't even let them put a little screen room on the back of the house. The people were furious, And to make a long story short, they applied for a lot of variances. It got all bogged down. They basically contacted their county commissioners. This is 35 years ago, and just flooded them. And finally, okay, we're going to change the zoning on it. We're going to allow screen rooms on it, you know. And so it became kind of a big mess. But there was other developments within Orange County that this all went through PUD. So my answer to you and to the council is, I've only seen it benefits the developer and not the residents and not the community. I'd like to say a couple more words. I'll make it short. We have zoning regulations, and seems like we're constantly breaking those zoning regulations, constantly issuing variances. And, you know, I think we need to remember that our actions should reflect what our beliefs are, our community, our serenity here, our slow growth. And when we speak that, our actions should reflect that, you know, and reflect that. So I believe what the mayor is saying. I think we should, they're going to develop it. And I think we should stick to, you know, our regular zoning. And they're going to have an HOA. It's going to be the same as the other having an HOA. Now, real quick, and I spoke to Sean last time and I spoke to the manager. Me being, I'm concerned with the future residents, which are future Montverdians. So, you know, they'll be our neighbors and they'll be, you know, and I think we need to think about them. A little thing called the impervious. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the impervious, but, you know, I've had to deal with it for 40 years. Some of these people that buy, you're giving him what I saw, and they kind of passed over real quick, 50% impervious. So that tells me that that builder can basically take up all the impervious to build his thing on these lots. So when the homeowner buys that, we might be in the same situation. He can't do anything to his property. He can't put a screen room on, possibly might not be able to put a pool. Maybe he has to take in a mother-in-law and add a little to his house or something. There is a good possibility that he won't meet the impervious because the builder has go ahead and taken all the impervious. I think the town of Montverde has a 50% impervious.
Can you just explain to everybody what the impervious means?
Yeah, in simple terms, impervious is that you calculate the house footprint, the driveway, and any kind of concrete or pavers or anything within that. There's a calculation. You add all that up, and you can only do 50% of your lot. You have to leave 50% of dirt, basically. And supposedly it's for environment and everything like that. The first one to do it in this area was Windermere. And then Winter Park did it, and now Lake County has it. Orange County still doesn't do it. But unless they were going to give the PUD 50%, and, you know, I guess there's no regulations. They could build a house, put a driveway in. They even calculate the pad that the AC goes on. So a 3x3 concrete pad has to go into the calculations. Now, real quick, I don't mean to take up everybody's time, but you all know the big development over here, Del Webb. I don't know if you've all seen that huge development over there, and that's in the city of Mineola. I sold a job to a guy that I've sold him 4 jobs. Anyways, he wants to put a big screen room on the back, big concrete and everything, and I'm starting to figure in the impervious, and I'm going, oh no, you know, this is. So then Mineola, now this is what Mineola does. Every subdivision has a different impervious calculation. So since they were just cramming those houses in there, the impervious for that development is 75%. Go figure. But I'm just saying that I've experienced with it. The PUD always, they're going to tell you they're going to put a park in, they're going to put a trail in. Oh, it's going to be, you know, the sky's going to be green, like my lawyer said one time, the sky's going to be green and the grass is going to be blue. Well, it usually doesn't work out that way. So I would respectfully request that the town, I really appreciate, Carol, you asking about lot size, because lot size is very critical on this. And the mayor's saying, why not just stick, you know, I think we got Mag Terrace, Florence Shores, the Pines. Those are beautiful neighborhoods. And so if we can at least try to direct this neighborhood into something like that, I think it would benefit all of us, you know. And one thing, let me say real quick about variances. You know, this is kind of a list, and this kind of goes along with the statutes, I think, in Florida, the principles of variance, granting variance. And I know, Mayor, you're, you know, the city of Apopka at one time, you just didn't get a variance. So it's okay to say no, you know, to some of this. Now, there is sometimes at hardships, I understand, you know. But let me just read this real quick. This is key principles to granting variances. Unique hardship. Has to be a unique hardship. Not self-created. Not something that they created, now I need a variance for. Minimal variance, the smallest possibility to shift from what you have on your codes and what you have in the zoning. The minimal amount to shift. Public interest, you know, that's a key point. Public interest. How can this benefit the public? And compliance with zoning intent. In other words, what are we trying to create here? You know, as far as the zoning laws that we have in place, and it should align with our current zoning laws. Only deviate as much as little as possible. Deviate from what we have zoning, you know. Magter, you know, we have beautiful subdivisions around here, right?
Yeah.
You know. So, but the main thing has to be a unique hardship. But thanks. I'm kind of long-winded.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anybody else like to talk to the? Go ahead.
Ray Hoffman, 17609 Windy Pine. I've been studying this thing, and my question is, you got a lot of lakefront lots up there. Apparently they're going to own from the road all the way down to the lake itself. So are we putting a lot of docks in there and continuing to pollute the lake? Or people coming along and beaching their boats without a dock and ruining the shrubs stuff, the normal, excuse me, the normal growth. And then I see in that area here, excuse me, a lift station track, and I'm a little out of touch. Where's the sewage treatment plant?
I think that's an old map. I think they did that when we were doing I'm not sure, but I don't know.
Then why are we even discussing it unless they get a new map up there?
All right. Yes, sir.
Matthew Bauman, 1122 Imperial Eagle Street, Groveland, Florida. Honorable Mayor, Council, I've been attending council meetings for quite a while now, and I would have to say, I think one of the things that I've observed the most is the town council's consideration for treating people as equally as possible.
Can you speak up a little more?
Yes. My best observation of the town council is its teamwork in trying to apply things equally to all people. And I would like to...
Say that again? Too much what?
I'm sorry?
I didn't hear the last part.
I believe the council tries to treat everybody fairly.
Okay.
As equally as possible. In applying the laws, the variances, they really struggle with deviating from what they've approved. And I'm not innately opposed to a PUD. It is a time of negotiation, as Vice Mayor has said. Under R1L, the minimum lot width is 100 feet. Medium density is 90 feet under existing zoning. I know because I have some property that's medium. And then you look at the map, and it says all the way down to 60 feet. And that's, even for a half-acre lot, that's a skinny lot for half an acre. So the developer's on one side of the negotiating table, the council's on the other side. You don't have to give them what they're asking for. This is just what they're asking for. And I suggest that we try to stay more in character with the existing neighborhoods, which if you look at are much wider than the lots that they're proposing for their subdivision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to talk to the council about this project? Alrighty. Oh, come on up.
Brian Rubio, 16548 Magnolia Terrace. So, earlier today, when we started this meeting, the town attorney went over and read a proclamation, right? For the past 100 years, the town has maintained its small town, rural character and quality of life for its citizens, right? When I see this overturning that, right? Obviously, change is it's going to eventually come this way. Obviously, you know, we're going to continue to fight this uphill battle, but nonetheless, I think the consensus is here. This is out of place for the town of Montverde. It's not the town of Montverde. This is not what this town has been, and unfortunately, it just doesn't fit in here. Who benefits from all this is none of us, except the builder and the companies that the builder hires and the engineers. They all get paid. I didn't hear not one address that they live here in Montverde. All of them live somewhere else, right? So it doesn't matter to them. In addition, for their attorney to basically say, you know, this is the you know what we're supposed to give you, but we're going to give you more. You know, that doesn't sit well with me. You know, it's a one-time payment of $400 or whatever it is, a few $100,000. It's not going to do nothing over the long term, right? We could come to a consensus that the roads are currently not in good shape. We know this, right? So these construction trucks, this initial construction for these, well, first to develop the land, then obviously to start, you know, building the actual houses and everything else. All that construction work is going to accelerate basically to degrade the roads faster. It's going to happen, right? Then you add on top of that 137 houses times, let's say, 2 cars per house, not including any boats, trailers, motorcycles, you know, and so on, golf carts and all this, right? How about the Amazon trucks, the FedEx trucks, the food delivery trucks? What else? Oh, the garbage truck pickup, right? They have to obviously continue to use only the 3 ways in and 3 ways out of Montverde, right? So over the long term, we're going to end up paying the bill exponentially. Something else that was addressed at the last meeting was the traffic study. Great. The traffic study, and I might be wrong, came out to something about 2 to 3 cars per minute or something like that during peak hours or whatever it was. Great. Where do you get that data from? The national traffic data. Great. What is that exactly? Have any of the council members seen that data? So I'll pose this. A person listing a house for sale is not going to use the national average sales price or the price per square foot on the national level and apply that to a house, let's say here in Montverde. You don't do that. So why are we applying national traffic data to a small town that only has 3 ways in, 3 ways out? I can't see that. You know, something has to be done in regards to that data to be revised and more accurate. I don't know what has been done, but just looking at the data on the national level doesn't tell me anything. It's not, you know, doing anything for us, and it hasn't been explained. I haven't seen any reports or anything else. I don't know if anything has been submitted to the council. But overall, we all moved here for a reason, right? And that reason is at stake here, right? First with the sewage plant, all right, we're off that, and now this. Who's going to ultimately pay this price is going to be the citizens. Montverde Academy, there's a lot of kids being dropped off. There's a lot of kids crossing the street. They're even going to the extent of, for the lower school, to basically not have the kids cross the street to go to the cafeteria. That's telling you something right there. If we don't even have this PUD already approved, and the Montverde Academy is already concerned about that, right, because they're taking action, what's going to happen when this is created and we get that flow and influx of more traffic during the peak hours, right? So it's putting everyone at stake. The whole fertilizer thing, I think, was addressed and mentioned. It's 137 lawns, not including any common areas. They're going to fertilize. Who's going to sit there and monitor how they're fertilizing it? Who's going to monitor what kind of pesticides they're using? No one. I'm pretty sure the HOA is not going to sit there and, ask for receipts on what they're using. And we're talking about this being done a few feet away from Lake Apopka, which is why this whole sewage plant came about at first and the whole issue with that. So, but here we're going to let them do it. They're going to be easily $1 million houses. They're going to want nice, green, lush lawns, and that's going to take a whole lot of fertilizing. But anyways, that's enough for me, I guess. Again, back to the traffic study. I hope the council considers asking for more detailed, in-depth traffic study. I don't think we've heard enough from that angle, and that's all I got. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
J.M. Oliver, 1777 Sugar Pine Way. I just want to everybody said a lot of things that I agree with, and there's no need to gild the lily, and we say that. What I wanted to just point out was what you're actually voting on today. I've seen other meetings where people get preoccupied with, oh, what else could be, what'll happen next time, tomorrow, and that's not what you're here for. You're here to go, do we approve or deny this offering as is? Think about that. Thanks.
All righty. Thank you very much. Anybody else? All righty. Bring it back to council and close public hearing. Anybody on council want to discuss anything? Oh, I'm sorry. I told you guys you could come back up. Come on up.
Well, I'll tell you what, give me just a moment, because perhaps you can address this. I've heard a lot about various studies. It is on. I've heard a lot here tonight about various studies, but I haven't heard anything about a safety study. All right, and when I say safety study, I'm not talking about vehicular anything. I'm not talking about road anything. I'm talking about all the extra feet on the sidewalks, the coming and the going. That subdivision is easily within walking distance of everything that happens in downtown, of the sports courts, the parks, everything that we do. So the vehicular traffic, I got that. All right, I'm on board with that. But my main concern is all of the foot traffic. Where is the safety study for that?
Yeah, and I'll let them
now
talk.
keep in mind that by the time you throw in 2 adults in every house and all the kids have, you're looking at, I don't know, I'm going to guesstimate 300 plus warm bodies walking around. So I'd like to know more about the safety concern for that.
Yeah, and I can let them address it, but I missed my turn coming in here, and I drove down through Montverde, the academy. There are no sidewalks on the road down there. I was just where I drove, there were no sidewalks on the side of the roads. There were cross sidewalks over to the parking lot, but there were no sidewalks in front of the things. But anyway, what I came up to speak about wasn't that, but what I'd like to talk about is this easement that Mr. Anthony came up and talked about. The Osgood property at one time included the lot that he's on. Now, he owns additional property to the north, and I can speak about that later. It doesn't really have a right to get all the way out to the road, but that's something he doesn't even know about yet. But his lot was owned by a lady. Mr. Osgood split it off, and that easement was put in a long time ago, I think as early as the 50s. And it's a 25-foot easement, and the Settles Development Company bought the property, so they own what we call the fee. So they own the land, but his land is subject to the easement. And Florida is a majority rural state, which says if you don't say in your easement that it can be relocated, you can't relocate it. You know, it has to be agreed to by both parties. So when Tom found about, I remember it was like 3 years ago, Tom called me and said, what can I do about this easement over my property? And so I said, well, you know, if Mr. Anthony doesn't want it to be moved, you can't move it. So, but what Tom did is he offered Mr. Anthony the fact that he would abandon the easement and allow him to use the roads in the subdivision and come across those roads. Now, that's not the case we're in now. So we have Mr. Anthony's easement. He can use that. It's not an exclusive easement. Tom could give other easements across it, but that's not going to happen because now Tom's going to sell off lots. Everybody that buys a lot owns the fee, so they own the land. They don't have a right to traverse the easement on their neighbor's property. So that's not a road that's going to be traversed in the neighborhood. It's not a subdivision road. It basically is a road that can only be used by Mr. Anthony or Tom at the moment. But when Tom starts splitting up all those fee tracts, the one lot owner does not have the right to cross over to another lot owner. So that's not going to happen. So
Wait, can I help? Can I
Mr.
stop you
Osgood.
for a minute? Oh, go ahead.
Sure.
Maybe I should address Tom. In reading this thing and looking at the maps, stuff like that, I get a little confused here when it comes to. I thought you would have made an agreement with Mr. Anthony on this whole thing. I mean, I thought this was resolved.
As Maury described, you know, we originally thought that Mr. Anthony, we assumed he would be okay using our roads to access his property. And he said, no, I bring trailers back there. I just, you know, want to use the easement. And we said, okay, well, how about this? Would you be willing to allow us to relocate it, you know, subject to your approval? And he said, sure. So we went out and engaged the engineers to, you know, do what they do. We spent money, you know, based on that word. And then when we finally came back and said, and it was a minor adjustment. We said, here's what we did. I said, yeah, I changed my mind.
Okay.
I mean, so I said, okay, you know, just we'll put it back the way it was, and we'll live with it that way. And so that's where it is today, and that's where I expect it to stay.
So how do you do lots 7 on up to 20-something, whatever?
How do you mean, how do you do it?
How do you do? Well, how do you have an easement through the middle of their property?
Through the back of their property that, you know, effectively they won't use. A lot of those lots, especially down towards where it turns up towards Cook Island.
What is Mr. Osgood saying now on the problem with all the different property owners?
Isn't there a wall there?
The property owner, their lot is subject to his easement.
Right.
So he can come down and drive through their backyard, but that's the only thing Tom's left with.
That's what Florida easements do.
That's an easement. But the neighbor in lot 1 can't drive down that legally.
Correct.
To go see the other neighbor. So
And that's going to stop the neighbor from doing that?
I don't know, but that's what we're left with. I mean, what choice do you have?
That easement starts outside the gate.
Could I have you talk in the mic, please, because we're recording? If you could stay in the mic.
There are no gates, but that easement starts at, you know, what you all call Osgood Road, right? At Kirkland. Is it Kirkland?
Right.
Yeah. So from a practical standpoint, if I live on lot 5, you know, why would I drive out of the community, you know, and cut across to Kirkland and up the easement? Why would I do that? Well, I mean,
I don't know. You might have like a utility truck that you use for work, and you want to park it in your backyard all the time.
But what Maury said is, I can't. I have no right to do that.
Well,
I have no right to drive.
You can, but you're not legally doing it.
No,
right?
I can't. Well,
let's
sure.
stick to the legal side, okay, guys? People do all kinds of things that aren't legal.
Yeah, correct. Well, I've never said my name yet, so today's my first time.
All right, what we got?
Brian Ashby. Raise this up. Brian Ashby, 200 South Orange Avenue, Orlando, Florida. Just in regards to this access easement we're talking about, I deal with this a lot. Somebody mentioned somebody could, right, drive down that dirt road if they wanted to. Absolutely. I could drive 80 miles an hour down a 50-mile-per-hour road if I wanted to. Is it legal? No. Can you get in trouble for it? Yes. I mean, that's what we're talking. That's what we're talking about here. The legality of it all is, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm an engineer, but I deal with easements all the time. The legality of it is, it's no different than our drainage easements that we have behind people's ponds, right? An HOA has the sole responsibility per the HOA documents to maintain that area. A landowner cannot come in there and manipulate it as they will. These are recorded documents.
Right, they can't build a shed on it.
Right.
Right.
You can't just do what you want. And if you do, there's penalties for it. Right. So that's ultimately what we're talking about.
Hey, now I heard you say that, Mr. Anthony, you're worried about how to maintain that road. That's what he's worried about. And wait, this gentleman explained that he would let you go on that road and put a pass-through to your road. Would you be okay with just using the main road and going through the? Oh, no? Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you said that.
Unless it restricts the future development on that property.
Tom, I didn't mean to run down a rabbit trail here, but there's several things I find unresolved, okay? And that's one of them. And so, yes, he can't, all right, he has an easement right and whatever, so now you explain the fact that he can use it, and the road's rough. We know the road's real rough. I mean, I ride down there in my bicycle and stuff, so it's pretty rough. So we're not trying to negotiate between you and Mr. Anthony. We're simply saying there are several unresolved things that we'd like to see. And another one, of course, was the reclaimed water. Yeah, the reclaimed water from the septics going along on the edge of the property line. And that was news to me last meeting, the first time I ever saw that.
No, we're not draining off-site anywhere, right? No treated wastewater, no stormwater runoff. We're not draining anywhere, right? Off-site.
From a stormwater perspective,
right.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, are we talking stormwater, are we talking reclaim, or are we talking wastewater?
Start with wastewater.
You want to start with wastewater? Okay. So wastewater is, I think, what you're referring to. And so what we're proposing is a distributed wastewater system, right? You're familiar with on-site potentially, right? And so each individual home or two homes would be served by an on-site wastewater treatment plant, which is essentially your own wastewater treatment plant on your property. From there, after it leaves the tank, it is meeting state requirements for water quality. But from that point, it has to drain back, percolate into the ground. We're not irrigating with it. We're not tying it into a reclaim system and spraying irrigation with it. It's going to a drain field at, yes, the south end of the site, one master drain field that would then drain into the ground. That is fully treated up to DEP standards. And so but again, I know I have a whole bunch of stuff that's written down from comments from the public, and that was one that was just completely false. We're not irrigating with wastewater. We're irrigating, the proposed plan is to actually irrigate and pull water from Lake Apopka via a pump. Right now, the irrigation out there is via two large irrigation wells that, in coordinating with the town, we're proposing to give the rights to those the consumptive use permits for those irrigation wells and the rights to those to the town, and we would then be pulling water from Lake Apopka.
And buying it back from the town with irrigation water.
Correct.
So, I mean,
Well, I mean, it was the first time last month was when I saw that. It was a big, on the whole bottom, that's when the irrigated water goes, or the reclaimed water, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, okay. And I understand it's a cost savings because you don't have to put pipes in, irrigation pipes.
No, we still have
individual homeowners.
No, we still have to put irrigation pipes in. There will be a full irrigation system. The drain field has nothing to do with the irrigation of the community. The irrigation of the community will be pulled from stormwater from Lake Apopka.
several of us were confused, I think, last meeting because it seemed, I think the word that was used, it was going to be the reclaimed sewage water, septic water, that was going to be dumped on the bottom.
To be,
George, isn't that what they said?
There was a suggestion to that effect. That was not us.
yeah.
That was
Oh,
That,
okay.
that was a statement made by somebody in the public. That's not an accurate statement.
And
What is an
I know
accurate?
the difference between the public and you people, and so there was a presentation, and I go, really? This is news. So anyhow, okay, so that's not true.
There is
Okay.
a drain field for the treated wastewater on the southern boundary of the property. It is not used for irrigation purposes. It is simply a drain field to drain the fully treated water.
What am I missing, Sean?
Please let the people up here talk. Please don't talk. Please don't talk. We can't hear it. Please just.
So, council, real quick.
Am I missing some terminology here or something?
Council, Mr. Lane, let me jump in real quick. So they're going to use what they're proposing is using the on-site septic systems that you looked at.
Right.
They're not proposing that the drain field, like a septic has a drain field, they're not proposing those go into the individual yards. They're going to have a central collection system where it's collected and it goes into the ground. I believe it's a rib is what you guys are proposing. Or are you proposing a rib or a pond? Or
And that goes where?
It's a dry drain field.
Okay.
So it'll be covered by
it's a rib.
grass.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So it'll all be collected, and there'll be an underground buried rib where that water will percolate into the ground. DWTS does not meet the DEP standards to have any of that water used for irrigation, so it cannot be used for irrigation. So I hope that clears. The irrigation will be a complete separate system and separate pipe from the water system that will come from Lake Apopka.
But it will not be groundwater in a slough.
No.
It will not be
No.
visible groundwater in a slough.
No, sir.
Okay, or a ditch, whatever you want to call it.
No, sir.
Okay. It'll be underground.
Yes, sir.
And does your drainage field run the entire length of the whole southern section of the property? The whole length?
Between our it would be between 8th and our Temple access.
8th and what?
8th and Temple.
Where at? In that green spot?
No, that's the trail easement, the landscape buffer and trail easement. It would be to the north of that.
Where the road?
8th and Temple, the
No,
middle
in the
section.
back of those lots.
There would be a drainage unit in the back of those lots, just like.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
so along Osgood Road.
Okay, I got it.
So instead of having individual drain fields.
Are you all right, Jim? You okay with them now?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, can we go back to Mr. Anthony, that we didn't finish? And you're saying that you were offering it to him to go down the road, and then what were you saying after that? I'm sorry, we got interrupted.
I mean, we went through that exchange and said we were, no longer interested in doing that.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it back
Still
up.
an unresolved
After
issue.
we went through the gyration of paying Kim and Horn to move the easement and do all that, and then, come back for blessing, and, change my mind. And,
Right, well, okay, cool. Let me ask Mr. Anthony, how do you feel about using the road at this
I
point?
honestly do not remember ever. You drew the new little, and and we talked about going through the subdivision.
So maybe we can work this out.
Well, okay, that's fine. I'm seeing
Maybe
that
we can work
besides
it out, and you don't have to worry about the road, and he just drives down the main road and cross right there in that turn. Would that be a maybe out there?
as long as there's, there's only one lot back there, if that's subdivided, those guys are off.
I didn't understand that, I'm sorry.
And my understanding is that in Florida, you can't landlock somebody. So how are these people going to get back to their?
They're not landlocked.
They're not landlocked?
You're not.
They're not?
You're not.
Oh, I'm not. Of course I'm not. But what about the people that own the land back there? How
I
are
was
they
going to ask the
are
same
they
question.
landlocked?
There's a road off of Kirkland Road that goes west, and there's several families down that road. So what has been made there?
Well, he's not landlocked there because it's before the Osgood Road.
No, I'm
that they
talking
make the
about
road.
it's not,
people
actually,
that
it's
have
not.
in the subdivision, the wall's here,
Right.
unless they climb over the wall, and then they got the rest of this way, so they're landlocked. You can't sell somebody a piece of property and right in the middle, sell that piece of property to them. There's no way to get to it. That's landlocked in Florida.
So this is a new issue.
Well, wait, let's back up to the conversation of going down to Main Street and going left to his house. Wouldn't that be easier for you guys, both of y'all, to do that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I consider it, just as long as there's no more entitlements to it
What's that?
than one family,
So his,
than one lot.
you're saying, no, you don't want 16 houses back there?
No, because, I mean, to me, that's why we're having this conversation. I mean, he just bought additional land, you know, he's looking to subdivide it at some point in the future, and this is a game.
So Mayor, if you guys, I'm going to speak as your manager, if you want to put a requirement that road access connect that in a PUD, and I'll let Anita correct me, I think that's personally reasonable. It's going to be a city maintained road, so putting restrictions on it I don't think is reasonable. And that seems like, we go back to a PUD is negotiable. If that's something that's important to you, I think that's reasonable to ask of the developer.
I don't know why we need even, I'm still stuck on, straight zoning and PUD. I'm not there yet on either one. But either one, why couldn't we do that with straight zoning or PUD? Why couldn't we put a road there?
I'll let Anita answer that, so.
So the application before you is a PUD. That's what, they have two options under your comp plan and your zoning. The comp plan designation they've received allows them to either apply for a PUD, which is what they've submitted for, or straight zoning. So you can approve or deny the PUD, and then they can resubmit and ask for a different zoning, but you don't have the ability to say, we're not going to do PUD, we're going to only do straight zoning, because you have to make your decision on the application before you, which is a PUD.
Oh, okay. But how does that answer my question about the road?
I don't understand the question about the road.
Okay, see the white road going down towards that star? Instead of the gray road, they go down the white road, and right where it turns, Mr. Anthony's road is right there. It's only, 150 foot, 200 foot. So forget about the gray road altogether. Just go down, he would go in and out of the main road, make a left, and go down to his house that way. Can we do that?
You can require a stub out, but you can't require a private property owner to give up an easement and use this subdivision as their access.
No, I'm asking the private property owner if he would be willing to do that.
We're not requiring it. We're inquiring about loose ends. This is a loose end.
And I don't have an issue with that. All I'm saying is we can't get into their business about whether they abandon the easement or not. If you want to require a stub out from the road in the design so that Mr. Anthony could use that, but he doesn't have an easement, so it would have to be a stub out of the road and an easement over
over
the property.
Your property.
Yes.
That little section there. Wouldn't that be better for you? I'm just throwing it out there. And then having to mess with that whole, you wouldn't really have to do the wall, would you, if you had that?
I think you have to do the wall because of drainage issues. I mean, because of the half-acre minimum and grading, drainage.
Couldn't you grade it better and just not have to do the wall at all then?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Due to the half-acre minimum lot sizes and the significant topography and us trying to maintain that Montverde feel with the hills and not just completely flat top this site, as it sits today, the way the plan sits, I mean, we'd be looking at a 20% road grade to try to connect to that road with how far down we are with the line right now. His road is, the existing road, dirt road, is about 20 feet lower than the topography that's, up on the lots. And so that just creates a very difficult, very difficult road that he would have to traverse. You talk about public safety. That's an extremely steep road that I would not recommend. It's not
Okay,
even.
so you're
It
saying
doesn't even meet
we need the
FDOT
wall.
design guidelines.
Then we need the wall, right?
What's that?
We need to build the wall either way.
Based on how it's, yes, that is correct. We would.
Okay. Okay. So if we built the wall, still wouldn't it be easier just to go down that main road and make a left? And then you don't have to worry about maintaining it or anything, the road or. No, the gray road, the easement, I'm saying if you. Okay.
So the original question was, you're telling me that not a landlocked.
We need him at the microphone, Mayor, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, you gotta get up. I'm not understanding your landlocked point.
Okay, those lots, you know, they're here, they're across the wall, they can't go across. The wall's here, and the easement road's here, and they go about another 200 feet, say, or 100 feet, something like that.
Okay.
And they're boom, 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 boom. In Florida, you cannot landlock. How does guy, say the guy in the middle wants to get to his property, he can't.
Why?
Because he's landlocked, because somebody lived next door to him.
I think for me personally, if I saw that, I'd have a better, if I actually saw that property, what you're talking about, where the wall
Yeah,
is
come
going
on.
to be, that would be a better indication.
Yeah, good. But in Florida, you can't landlock somebody out.
But
You
if
can't-
somebody walks out their back of their house, they bought one of those houses, he's gonna walk 100 feet, there's gonna be a wall, there's gonna be easement there, and then the other part of his property's on the other side of the easement, right?
If the wall wasn't there, there wouldn't be a problem, but the wall's there.
Well, let's just say that's what it is, it's the wall, the easement, then the other side of that easement is his property. He owns all that. He just has an easement going through his backyard,
He owns
So it's
straight
not
back, but
landlocked.
how to get to his yard, his backyard?
through his back door.
Can't go to the back door, the wall's there.
Right, but it's a wall with the easement, and then he can jump off the wall, or he can climb down the wall
Okay,
and
okay.
go out back. I don't see him landlocked, that's what I'm saying. He's not landlocked.
Everybody gets a ladder.
But let's go back to,
Yeah.
would you be open to working with them to go down the main road and cut
Yes.
across? Okay, he said he would be open to that, and that would end this whole thing.
I'm really sorry for
If
the
you-
misunderstanding, because I didn't realize that was what was
So he's not, he said he didn't really understand that when you offered
Okay.
it.
Good.
What do you think?
We've been at this for 3 years.
Yeah. No, some people think we're in a rush. It's like,
Yeah, we've been doing this for 18
So-
months, but we're rushing.
we're 3 years, man.
3 years? But
We
we're
were-
total rushing.
It's been very long for me.
We didn't mean to force you into retirement, just so you know.
How do you
What
feel?
now?
Well, you own the property. How do you feel about that idea of what he's saying? He's saying he really didn't understand it last time. He's okay with figuring that out.
What I understood was, because of the topography and the need for the wall, we couldn't do that even if we wanted to, which at this point, I don't want to. There's been bad faith, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not interested in playing that game.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I-
Well, I thought I'd
like
throw it
to-
out there.
Can we had other questions for them. I'd like to hear their answers at this
Go ahead.
point. I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
I think
I'm
I'm
all
maybe
ears.
the only one confused with everything here. I'd like to hear their answers.
You got to talk louder and in the mic.
You guys had other answers for some of the other questions. I'd like to hear some of those if you could.
All right, so we just touched on Kirk Island Lane. That was one of the questions. Catch me if I did not write every single one down. I was trying to be as diligent as possible. We just talked about us not using sewer water for irrigation. We talked about that a little bit earlier. We talked about the drain field, the treatment of the drain field. The next one was the boat ramp and the ask that, or an ask are we proposing a boat ramp as part of this development? How many people are going to have boats? Where are they going to park their boats? Well, part of the PUD, part of the benefit of a PUD is the negotiation factor, right? And our developer, Tom and his team, are donating property to enhance the existing boat ramp that is out there today to provide more parking.
I didn't hear that, though. How much property is he donating?
I don't have the exact number, right? But we worked with the town. We took the concept plan per the town, overlaid it onto our CAD file, and it's about, is it 40 feet of donation, 40 feet of right-of-way donation? But essentially what that does is it takes the current site plan that the town's prepared for those boat ramp enhancements and gives the land to actually do that, which they don't have today. So now we're talking about boat parking that was never feasible there today. So Just kind of wanted to touch on that because they were talking about issues with people bringing their boats. Somebody mentioned the impervious surface and did a good job of explaining what an impervious surface is. Yes, we are limited to the 50% impervious surface, and I know there was concerns about that may or may not limit a homeowner's ability to develop like a screen room or an accessory, a second dwelling unit like a shed or something like that on their property. Well, a lot of that has to do with zoning, right, and setbacks and what you do and don't build when you build your house. So let's just do quick math, right? Half-acre minimum lots, right? 50% maximum impervious surface. So that's you're looking at 10,890 square feet of allowable impervious on your lot. You got to remember, a lot of these lots are going to have a stormwater pond in the back of it that they can't build on. So that's almost 11,000 square feet of impervious surface. Let's just say a modest house is 7,000 square feet base surface. That'd be a massive, massive home. That's still leaving you with almost 4,000 square feet to put a very tiny screen room in, if you would like. That's the type of impervious surfaces that we're talking about. I mean, there is a lot of available impervious area that can be built. If somebody wants to take up that entire land of 11,000 square feet and build a home that's exactly 11,000 square feet within those setbacks, they have every right to do that.
But that happens whether it's a PUD or straight zoning, right?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
And so, but that being said, we're also limited to, our stormwater design has to meet that 50% maximum impervious surface area for the development. So we're treating every square inch of impervious surface that's being generated by this project and treating it to current Florida statute requirements before it's discharged off-site in the same manner that it discharges today. Docks, somebody asked about docks. We're proposing no docks in this development. If a homeowner along Lake Apopka wants to build a dock on their property, they will have to come to you all for your blessing, and they'll have to come to you for plans. They'll have to go to the Water Management District as well to get a permit. We are not proposing any docks as part of this project. That would be a lot owner by lot owner responsibility, and then y'all have that decision at that time. We are not proposing any. Nobody would have a right by this PUD or any plan moving forward under this project to build a dock.
But you don't have a prohibition on docks.
No, there's no prohibition. They are allowed to come to you and ask for the dock. They are allowed to go to try to get a permit
See,
through the Water
much of what
Management
you're saying is, when I always remember, and I can't remember the Latin terminology, maybe Anita does, buyer beware. There was a Latin terminology for it. And so when you buy a house, you have a stack of documents, and it tells you what you can and you can't do with your property. Or don't buy it.
Correct. Yep. When I was looking for my last house, we have a travel trailer. We love to go camping. I have a 30-foot travel trailer. I was trying to find property around Orange County where I could keep my travel trailer. I moved into a neighborhood in Conway, which is an older established neighborhood in Orlando, and I gave up that right. I can have a boat in my front yard. It's kind of funny how our HOA works. I can have a boat in my front yard, but I can't keep my travel trailer in the backyard. But that's a sacrifice I made so I could live on the same street as my brother and his family do, because we don't have any family
And
nearby.
the same thing with boat trailers.
But I knew it. I knew it when I moved in there, right? And so,
Right.
yeah. And so, but under this proposed PUD, we are not proposing any docks. I just want to make that very clear. It would be the individual homeowner's decision to come to you and apply for that.
I had a quick question for you.
Sure.
You had mentioned, I want to go, the parking that was 40 feet, you were donating 40 feet?
40 feet of right-of-way. Yep.
Of right-of-way, okay. And you have a 30-foot trailer. Like, that's, you realize 40 feet, it's not that much.
It's an additional 40 feet to the land that the town already has out there. It's not just 40 feet. It's,
Okay.
It's the existing right-of-way along the road plus an additional 40.
Okay.
Yeah. We overlaid the plan from the town to make sure it was sufficient to meet those dimensional criteria. Yeah.
And we're not proposing to allow folks to park in front lot. So, to me, that's business for one of your other recent applicants.
And we're not going to say that you can park your boat trailer or your boat and leave it at our boat ramp. Right. So, beware.
Precisely.
Huh?
Gotta speak in your mic, nobody can hear you.
I don't think they make any reference
No, I'm
No,
just,
ma'am.
the question came up.
Hmm? Yeah, please speak in your microphone.
I don't believe that there's any reference to boats or dock building in any of your paperwork for any future homeowners, nothing at all like that. If they want one, they come talk to the town of Montverde
Yes, ma'am. And the Water Management
and
District.
everybody above.
Yep.
Okay, you guys are out of the boat building business.
We have no desire to be in the boat dock building business. That is
There you
correct. Somebody mentioned the lift station tract that's being shown on the plans and why we are showing that. That was a placeholder for to donate to the town a tract for a future lift station should the town want to move in that direction one day. So we're future thinking of space to be available for the town and dedicating that to the town for a future lift station should the town proceed with doing their own water treatment facility. That being said, with the distributed wastewater system that we're proposing, it would be fully functional on-site. There would be no need under current state statutes to do any sort of conversion to tie into the towns. It's not like a traditional septic system where you're looking to do septic to sewer.
Let me stop you with that.
Sure.
If it's straight zoning, how do you handle the septic?
We do the same thing.
You can do multiple ones together if it's straight zoning?
Sure, I don't see why the zoning would or would not
Just
deter
asking,
it.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, I'm thinking out
I don't
loud.
know. Okay.
We can still
So
do
that wouldn't
easements.
interfere at all, that you can think of?
No, I don't see why that would interfere, because we're putting them in easements on people's individual lots.
Okay.
Somebody mentioned the traffic impact analysis. That has been reviewed by the town staff. That has been that's been done for years, and the entire traffic impact study, which I have in my hands. And that was last revised in October of 2024 and passed along to the town. And the reason it was revised was because we've reduced the number of lots, and the previous data was based off of about 300 and some odd lots. I'm going to keep going with that. So they asked, somebody from the town asked about, why are we using national data for the number of trips per home? That is industry standard data that is used in literally every single traffic impact analysis across this country. I've never seen a TIA that doesn't use that data. And that is for the number of trips on average that an individual home generates across the country. Now, the study is very specific in that it is specific to the area of impact, right? So 8th, 9th, Temple, Broad Street, Lake, County Road 455, all the way down. So the area in which the traffic is kind of traveling through. The study is very specific to that and looks at the level of service that each one of those roads is currently serving the town at. And so it is very specific. Yes, it's using national data specifically for the number of trips generated per a household, but it is very specific to how those trips are spread through the existing road network in the town of Montverde.
I want to add something to that. In talking to our traffic engineer, because some of the is it Brent Tobias, the consulting engineer, town's consulting engineer, in his comments seemed to be suggesting that the substandard width of the roads wasn't taken into consideration for the conclusions reached by the traffic study. And in the end, I understood him, he was to be saying, yes, there was a factor, for the substandard roads in the conclusions. In the conclusion that said that the level of standard, an acceptable level of standard will be maintained with 139 lots at the time. And there was another point I was going to make, but I forget.
It's getting late.
Amen. And I think that's what I had written down as a question. So if you want to back check me, that's what I had. If there's a question that I missed, I'd be happy to, if I'm able to, I'm happy to answer.
Well, Tom, I understand you say substandard roads. These are simply ends of a subdivision with 20 houses on the road. I mean, so they're narrow, and they've never been meant to be used as main thoroughfares. So we get back to the issue about how we're going to get traffic in and traffic out. And you say, you know, and fire trucks and heavy equipment that you're going to be bringing in and out. Those roads aren't going to last for much longer when you put those dump trucks on there and everything like that. So, I mean, and I know your attorney will tell us about 500 laws and whatever. I always go back to English common law. If you damage somebody else's property, you're responsible for it. Okay.
So, yeah, that point was brought up, I believe Commissioner, or Councilman Hartle said something about, you know, the trucks during construction would break down the roads. And, you know, we would be willing to repair any damage, you know, return to their present condition or better, you know, at the end of construction.
Not really a question, just an opinion or a thought. It's our current road condition is not the best, but it is currently adequate for the residents of Montverde, right? And bringing in anything additional is just added wear and tear on what is right now more or less adequate. Okay? Again, yeah, we fill up our potholes. Okay? They might be a little bit narrow in places, but there is not a citizen here in Montverde that has any problem traversing any of these roads right now. So
Didn't mean to suggest there was.
it doesn't stay on. Yeah.
Dang. That's because it's 10 at night. They cut off automatically.
You know,
Talk too much. That cannot be the case.
you know, to the comment, you know, Brian was addressing about, you know, the fact that the data set, you know, the methodology is based on some, you know, national model. You know, what it doesn't take into consideration, that national model is, I looked at the subdivision on the other side, on the south side of 455, you know, around the lake, you know, nice lakefront homes, and I was actually measuring the economic impact, you know, what the tax base would bring to the town at the time. This was a while back, but what I saw was that 40% of those lots did not have homestead. So the point is they're likely snowbirds, and those are trips part of the year, and part of the year they're not here.
I'm sorry, where's this at?
Going south on the south side of 455.
Okay.
You've got a sizable.
Because I thought we were about 70-something% homesteaded, aren't we, Paul?
More.
No, I don't mean to go down this rabbit trail, but go on.
So about 40% of those lots that I measured,
Okay.
I was just looking at that one lakefront subdivision. And assuming that, you know, we're going to have high value homes and that they're going to have a similar proportion of snowbirds. So I was curious what
Right.
how many people were going to be paying taxes who aren't going to be here, you know, 8 months out of the year. That's all.
All right, Joe, where do we stand?
I don't know. Right now, I would say they're asking for us to approve a PUD. Me personally, I look at advantages, disadvantages for the developer and for the town. And, you know, developer advantages of design, landscape, trail, open space. Advantages for us, trails, parks, and stormwater. I don't see a lot of good advantages to it. So I'm at the point where I want to make a motion to deny the PUD and have the developer go back and work with our staff to discuss how to go from here.
let's kick that one around before you make that motion, okay? Yes, I heard the arguments about PUDs and whatever. I'm gonna go back to the old buyer beware. When you buy into a subdivision, mag terrace, the same arguments I heard tonight about mag terrace, and we were about the Sioux subdivision that was made 25 years ago here for mag terrace. They're just gonna come in here, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that, the same argument over and over again. So my point is I'm trying to not ramble on, is that the CUP PUD is really for the homeowners association and the developer. It puts the onus, does it not, rather on them than the town.
But they said a straight zoning can have an HOA too.
What's that?
A straight zoning can also have an HOA. So the HOA doesn't help either way, either side. So that's the biggest reason I don't understand why
I made a decision years ago not to live in an area with an HOA.
Right, but
That's why I could park my motorhome on the side of the house. And so, it's one of those things in which it's a personal decision.
right, but no, what I'm saying
And
is
you may
the
not be able
argument
to put the
points.
screen in the back.
Right, but the bulletin points, the HOA doesn't matter because you can have it in a PUD or zoning, straight zoning. I say, I'd like to make the motion one of these days to deny the PUD and have the developer go back and work with our staff to come back with a solution for the problems that they've heard.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yep.
I've asked for fairness, and I mentioned in good faith. We've worked in good faith. We've engineered. We've done preliminary engineering, taking this far beyond where we would normally be on a PUD application. Spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with our engineers and other specialists because the town asked us to. And now you're saying, scrap all that.
No,
Scrap all that good faith. Yes.
I don't know, I'm saying that it's just not.
I mean, you were the one who proposed half-acre lots.
No, I understand it's been a long 3 years.
You were the one who proposed 3 entrances.
I don't feel that we've rushed anything myself, and it's been a long 3 years. And you guys have been patient, we've been patient, we're just stuck. I don't know.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor, to your attorney. I think, if I'm correct, that the motion that granted us the FLU change, future land use change, said that we could rely on half-acre lots and a residential PD. I think that's in the record.
I don't have the future land use ordinance with me tonight, but
Yeah,
I think.
I don't have it. We'll try to pull it
I
up.
think it's just the R1L, which is the future land use designation that the comp plan has, and then it limited it to the half-acre lots. I don't think it discussed what the zoning would be. That wouldn't be typical.
I think that the documents that were voted on had those words on them.
Do you have a copy with you?
No.
Yeah, I don't have a
Unfortunately,
copy either.
But I think we can provide it if, but I think.
Yeah, I mean, I can go back and get
Yeah.
one as well, but
What do you guys think?
that doesn't help us tonight.
As council, our responsibility is to protect the health and safety and welfare of our residents. So I mean, I don't want to say really more than that.
They can't hear you.
You guys didn't hear me? Oh, sorry. I said as council, our responsibility is to protect the health and safety and welfare of our residents and Montverde residents. For me, seeing what I'm seeing, I have concerns about emergency response and other safety issues on that road and those roads. So that's all I have, really.
I feel your frustration, and I understand. You've been at this for a very long time, and you've done your due diligence. You've provided us with information, maybe most of what we've asked for. But the one thing that stands out in my mind is that when this is all over and done with, and those houses go up for sale, you guys are gone. And we live here every single day. So whatever, it is incumbent upon us to do our due diligence. And again, soft an apology, you know, for making you jump through all these hoops. But if we don't get this right now, we have no chance of getting it right in the future. So bear with us as we do our due diligence on behalf of our residents.
I just want to clarify that the documents and the information that the town has requested the applicant to provide is what's required by your code. So I'm not aware of anything that the town has requested them to provide that is not a requirement. It's not something above and beyond. We've just asked them to meet the code requirements.
And thank you for that clarification.
What are we referring
Anita,
to?
now, if we did deny it, just saying, if it was voted to deny it tonight, and they go back and work with the team, our town hall team to come back with, they can come back and ask for another PUD, right?
The zoning ordinance requires 2 hearings. If you vote to deny it this evening, it still will come back for a second reading, which is the actual public hearing, and that's when the final determination is made. At that hearing, you can either approve it or deny it.
Okay, so if the council was to vote to deny it just for now, there's still another reading, and in between now and then, they could sit with Paul and you and Sean, see if you could work it out where you could bring it back, they could bring it back to council, and the council would not do the second reading on the PUD to deny it. They would move on.
Right, you would have another public hearing and make a decision at that time.
Do you guys understand that?
No, try it again.
Okay, if I made a motion to deny their request for a PUD right here, that's not set in stone yet until the second reading. So I would make a motion that we deny the PUD, and I'm asking the developer to go back with our town hall team and figure out ways to get around the different issues they listened to tonight, and then come back for the second reading, and hopefully the council would be friendly enough to discuss it, I don't know, and see what happens at that second meeting. Are you following me?
Let me make a comment. For nearly 10 years, I've supported you on all, I don't understand your thought process on this one.
Okay, if I made a motion to deny it.
I got that part, Joe. I'm talking about
then
why.
Because I don't think we're ready to make a decision here. We got so many loose ends, and
Well, I'm
for
going to
them,
go ahead.
we need to talk to Paul and those two before they even come any further here. But what happened in these meetings now is this gentleman here has heard what we're up against. So now he can go back and try to figure out with our team what they can do and come bring it back. And hopefully sell us on whatever they want, and everybody agrees, and we go home happy. Next meeting.
So can we be clear on
Yep.
what the issues are? I mean,
Well,
this seems like shooting
good
in
point.
the dark.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm gonna jump in here. PUD is your high school locker. On your high school locker is a lock. It's a combination lock. There's many numbers. You have to hit all those numbers before you open the lock. This says draft. Does yours say draft? Okay, mine says, Joe, says draft. It doesn't say, hey, this is final, this is what's going on. In discussions with legal, this is still negotiating. All we're doing tonight is spinning a tumbler that says, hey, we got one number. I've yet to break a combination lock on one number. Right? Okay. We're arguing about little things. Yes, they are big things. But they're not the thing. Tonight's is, do we give them a PUD or not? Okay, that's it. Period. Spin the dial. We got 4 more dials to spin before we go. Guess what? We gave them a stamp. Start building the thing. Okay, the roads. Okay, I'm not sold on the safety thing. County says, and I've talked to who's left, our fire department, Lake County says 20-foot road. Hello. Not 18.6, 20 feet. That's a tumbler on this lock. Okay? I go over here and see all these little things that says negotiation. We're in negotiation. Staff report needs this. Staff report. Staff report hasn't said we've given a stamp of approval on this. There is no stamp of approval from staff. We're at spinning the tumbler. We're at one number. That's tonight. Staff has their job to iron these 18, 19 pages of questions out. There's nothing in here that says, yep, man, we're done with it. So we're sitting here and saying, we're not going to give them that. We want them to go R1L. Okay, so now they start over. I haven't heard all the disagreements of R1L or R1M. There's a lot of negativities to those, folks. Hello? PUD gives us more control of this situation currently than an R1 would do. Now, you can argue that, and you can call me stupid. Have at it. Thank you very much. I've been listening here for 2.5 hours. This seems like it's starting to become a circular firing squad with nobody in the middle. That doesn't end too well. We've asked, they've come. Okay, 3 years. I'm frustrated with 3 years too. If I had my way, Tom, I'd say I'd love to be able to win a Powerball or Mega Lottie and say, tell me how much you want to make your profit and everything else, and I'll buy that property from you, and I'll say, man, guess what? I'm going to put citrus back on there and range cattle. Everybody's happy. Guess what? I pay $7. I still haven't won a lotto yet. So what do? We're back to draft. This says draft. Every single page of this thing, except when I get in staff report, says draft. Doesn't say, hey, this is your final. Let's go kick this ball and make an Eagles touchdown. Doesn't exist. So tonight, from what I'm understanding, this is an ordinance for a first reading to say, do we give them a first reading or not? We're not, even if we turn them down, Joe, we're still back to, okay, staff has to get involved. This ain't us. It's going back to staff. Staff has to come up with all these little things, and we start this whole thing all over. All they're asking is, do we give PUD or not?
I'm denying it.
Or you approve it?
Well, I'm making a motion
Okay,
to deny.
well,
I'll second the motion.
I got a
that's how we
first and
go with it.
second. I'll got
All
a
right,
first and
what's the
second.
vote now? That we
I'm
deny it?
denying, I made a motion to deny the request for PUD. I got a second
For first reading.
for first reading.
Now, what are you asking them to do with the denial? Anything?
No. They,
Well,
they
have Paul
can,
say
they can,
something.
they can go back and talk to Paul, or they
Good
can
idea.
choose not
Okay.
to. Oh, yes, sir.
They need to-
Yeah, I think just in fairness for both the council and the applicant on this, to be clear from staff's point of view, two issues. You answered a lot. There were a lot of back and forth about very important questions, but it's to zero in on two things. One of which was, well, both of which were from the last meeting. You had questions about the requirement of the dry lines for the sewer system. But it's important to point out that, so you had the planning and zoning meeting on December 11th, 2024. Then you had your town council meeting on the 14th of January, which was then continued till today. Outside of the traffic issue, so that we know that the traffic study has been updated. Traffic counts, and what they do is they determine from a traffic study if it's going to have an impact on the level of service of a road, which basically is its capacity to handle traffic during peak hour. So there's really not a dispute of that if they pay their proportionate fair share.
Yep.
The attorney is absolutely right. We cannot make them do more than proportionate fair share.
Mhm.
The staff's questions that we have had since prior to December 11th, and it was actually, I double checked, was in comments to the applicant, is about the width of the road, meaning that it's not wide enough from a safety aspect of
For the fire truck.
for the fire trucks and public safety. So what does that mean? It means that it's not wide enough. So some problem solving has to occur on it.
So that might be something that they go and work with you and Paul and Anita on and bring it back to us, if they want to talk about that.
We'll be open to that for sure.
Yeah, council, just off my notes, if, and please correct me or add anything. So what I'm hearing, the things that the applicant needs to work with the developers, obviously the roads and the safety issues around the roads, looking at that access easement and a potential connection.
And your teams, or the teams, suggestion on what we should do, a PUD or a straight zoning, come back with that. But right now, I'm.
Yeah, and I'll refer Anita on that, where we need to come on that. You know, as staff, what we do is we just go by what the code says, and the code is a PUD is a zoning, and it almost writes it. It's almost preferable for these type of lots, and so that's why staff, you know, works with us. And you know, from our point, the PUD does give us a lot of advantage to negotiate. For instance, you know, we're a mile away on what we need to do for the roads, but on the flip end, they're asking for 13 waivers of our code. You don't have to grant one of those waivers, and if you didn't grant the whole one of those waivers, this development will look a whole lot different, and maybe the roads wouldn't be an issue, as much of an issue. They probably still would be, because you got a safety issue, I guess, at the end of the day, where they build 50 houses or 100. But so you know, they're not at least I'm not hearing that grasp of that. They're coming in and asking us for waivers from our code, and we're saying this isn't quite meeting what the Montverde flavor and our safety issues are.
Motion was made, it was seconded.
Yeah, I'm letting them
That's
talk.
up to us,
I'm letting
not
them talk.
you.
Wait a minute.
But yeah, I just want to be clear on the things you want to fix. Some more discussion about boat parking, dry lines, and last kind of just we had some recommendations from planning and zoning about lot size and just, you know, the Montverde flair of the development. Does that kind of encapsulate, I guess, the concern?
What you guys need to talk about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are those all the concerns in your guys'
You can even
mind?
talk to us individually after the
Sure.
meeting and figure that
Okay.
out. Okay, there's a motion on the table. I got a second.
Can I ask a
Yes,
question?
sir. You want to talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. So what, if I understand this correctly, it doesn't matter what you do, whether you make a motion to approve or deny, it comes back, and
Yes.
that next vote is the only one that matters.
Yes. Yes. We have to do 2 readings no matter what.
So
Whether
this-
we are approving it, it doesn't mean it's approved until the second.
So why not just vote to approve it if this one doesn't matter?
Because I personally, I'm not leaning towards a PUD personally.
Yeah, and
So
I'd
I'm
rather
making a
deny it
motion
right
to
now.
Deny the PUD.
I mean, so we made a
That's
motion.
being honest with you. I don't know how else to tell you.
It's what we were asked to do,
Right.
and we agreed it was a great idea. It makes for a better community. You know,
Well-
you have product differentiation, it's not a cookie cutter.
Right. No, I understand that, but I'm struggling with, me personally, so I made my personal motion. I'm struggling with the PUD right now. I'm hoping that you guys can convince me to change and everybody's happy and goes home happy next meeting.
But that's
But it's not happening tonight.
a safety issue.
No, I didn't even think about that really. The roads and all that, I think that all can be worked out. But there's other stuff that I don't understand why we do PUD. We just can't get there. So I made a motion, I got a second. Maybe it isn't going anywhere right now, so wait and see. I need to vote.
Can I ask Anita a question?
What's that?
Is it possible that we don't vote up or down on the PUD, that we merely vote on this draft, to move this draft forward and meet with town personnel to work out the issues that Paul just brought up?
It's really the same, because the draft ordinance is the proposed
Is
PUD.
the proposed, okay.
So either you,
So we can't do this just because it says draft.
That was just to make clear to everybody that this is the latest draft that we have.
Most recent, yeah.
It wasn't really
not
meant
final.
to signify anything more than that.
Work in progress, yeah.
Yes.
All right, I'm
So-
missing something again. I
So-
see ordinance number 2024-44, and I don't see anything where it says, oh, there it is, I'm sorry, I do have it highlighted, PUD. Okay.
let's do a vote. Can you do
So it's a motion to deny.
right.
So if you vote yes, you're moving to deny. If you
Mhm.
vote no, you don't agree with the denial.
Right.
Because it's a little unusual.
So, yes,
There is the possibility that it comes up again next month. Yes?
It has to have a second reading.
Okay.
And that's the vote that will count.
Nothing's final right now.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Lay.
Don't start with me.
You're on a short string. You get to start
Yeah,
first.
yeah. Okay, so if I vote yes, then I'm supporting Joe, the mayor. If I vote no, then we go back to wherever we're at. I don't know if it can be anywhere. All right. No.
Councilmember Hartle.
No.
Councilmember Morganelli.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Womack.
I'm not sure. I vote to deny.
Okay. And
So that's a yes.
that's a
I
yes.
don't know if that's a yes or no, so I'm voting to deny.
Okay. I vote to deny. That's three
Okay.
denies. So that's all we're doing tonight. All righty, well, anybody
Question.
else want to talk about anything?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yep.
High weeds here. This goes to legal.
Oh, I know you love my
Anita?
Wait a minute, we're still doing a meeting here. We're still doing a meeting.
Anita?
We have,
Hold on. We haven't adjourned yet, guys.
no, we're doing a meeting. Let me take care of the meeting here.
What's the issue?
Hey, Guy, can you sit down?
Brian.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I have a question for legal. Since Jim Lay is resigning effectively tonight, our next council meeting will have 4 people, correct?
Well, that'll be fun.
That's exactly what I'm trying to bring across here. When are we going to replace Mr. Lay? That has to go through process, public hearing, applications, come before
We'll talk
council.
about it. We're gonna do the same as we did it when we replaced, we appointed you, we
Right.
appointed you, we appointed you. Well, you got voted in.
Yeah, I got voted in. You didn't invite me on that.
Appointed you.
Planning and zoning. So I will put an application up on the website, like Mayor said, we've done in the past, and we'll have those applicants here at the meeting, at the March meeting, and you could
Is it
make
possible
a
to do
motion
a
to approve
workshop?
those.
Is it possible for a workshop on that or not?
A workshop to
if it's-
approve them,
Workshop or a special meeting.
A special meeting, I guess it would be correct?
to approve the people or review them?
Yes. You
Okay.
have to review
If
before
the
you
council
approve,
would
so
like them on the meeting on the 25th, instruct me to do that, we would be glad to do that. It's a little bit less time for people to apply.
What's the 25th?
That's the concern.
We're gonna do the special meeting on the
Alan,
25th
that's the only
for the
concern.
CP.
Are we gonna have enough time to get candidates?
Okay.
Are we gonna get enough candidates that we wanna look at by doing it by the 25th?
I don't know, we gotta put a mail out or something, right? What do you
There's
think?
8 of them right here, there we go.
We'll put
Yeah,
it-
I'll put it up on the website.
Yeah. Okay, we'll put it on the website, Facebook page for the town. Is that good enough, Anita? And advertise it out on the thing?
That's how you've done it in the past, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And we could still, at the March meeting, if you appoint them, they could sit and be at
Okay.
the meeting. We
So
could
we're
just
gonna
ask
ask
all the
people-
candidates to be up to date on the
We're
project.
gonna ask the people that wanna apply to come on the 25th and talk to the council. And if they can't make it on the 25th, then at least send something in for the council to read.
Sure.
Okay. All right, that's fine. What else?
That's all I had. Just
Jim, it's been an honor.
I think that's it.
All righty.
motion to adjourn?
I second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We do have people who wanna meet.
Shoot me. Huh?
You gonna deny it? To adjourn?
I'm just not there, man.
Very nice. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll bring you that laptop tomorrow. Okay. Resignation letter.